How's everybody doing? Welcome in, Fighting Max. Good to see you. It says, hi, Retro, happy Pride Month. I'm going to say something that's going to sound real controversial, but I'm going to define it, and I hope it's not controversial. I don't like Pride Month. Here's why. I personally feel like that when you make something a holiday, that you make it special, but then every other day is in waiting to get to that holiday again. And with Pride Month, I think it's the same thing, but unnecessarily. So for example, let's give you an example. Christmas or Yule or whatever you might celebrate is special because it only happens one time a year, and it's because the changes that you're celebrating only happen one time a year. If it's Christmas, it's a birthday you're celebrating. If it's Yule, it's the coming of a new season that you're celebrating, right? And a fruitful season. But pride is something people shouldn't, no person should ever have to feel ashamed of being who they are. Now, I don't need everybody being quiet about it. I don't need anybody being in my face about it. I just need you to be able to be it in the way that is best for you, right? I'm not talking about any extreme. And I think when you put Pride Month on it, what that does is that means it's kind of a holiday where the people that want to be noticed and notice it and celebrate it have to wait the whole year before they're able to celebrate it again. And for the rest of everybody else, they get to forget about it for 11 more months. And it's like, is that really what we want? Isn't people just being who they are, expressing themselves in the way that they want to express themselves? Isn't that something that should be celebrated as any other celebration of existence, which is daily? So I'm not a big fan, personally. I'm not a big fan of it being celebrated or relegated, that's a better word, to being a single month. I feel like it kind of allows the people that disagree with it, I think it really allows them to just kind of forget about it. And so that's my opinion. And I've heard the argument, because everybody discriminates, it's the 1 month that they don't. No, people are still discriminating against people in that month. The people that are bad people don't become better people in that month. You just get to celebrate in that month. Well, why not celebrate all the time? If the people that are going to discriminate and be terrible and be exclusive arbitrarily, again, remember, I believe exclusivity is a good thing. I believe arbitrary exclusivity is not. But if all of the people that are going to do that anyway are going to do that year-round, why are you not able to celebrate year-round in the way that you need to, or at least be yourself? So that's my opinion. There's a lot of discrimination that's sadly going around towards these people, so I think it's nice we can have it. The problem with it is that the discrimination doesn't diminish during that month. So the amount of people that are discriminating and the level of discrimination doesn't diminish at all. What does diminish is, after this month, the amount of people that are able to openly celebrate it. And I think that the idea is that you want to have something constantly, existentially, to combat that which is already existential in nature. You want to celebrate being who you are, but if you only celebrate it at a single time, and then you just, whatever, and the people that are going to be discriminative are discriminative the whole way through, then it kind of diminishes the impact of an individual getting to live that life proudly. Because if it's as in their face as they are in your face, and I mean this to be equal, then it's very difficult for them to combat it with bigotry. I think the holiday brings more of a togetherness aspect to them. It was made for the representation. It's better than having no celebration of who they are. Right. But it also is less effective than just getting to celebrate who they are all of the time. When you take something and you put it into a specific time frame, what you do is you allow people who aren't a part of it legitimately to enjoy and profit on it. Because it's a holiday, people who don't actually care about it can monetize it by selling rainbow or flag or Pride Month stuff. Whether they care about it or don't, they can celebrate. I mean, they can sell things, not celebrate. They can sell things and profit off of it. Companies do this. Big companies do this. And it doesn't shut anybody up. The fact is that the togetherness needs to exist whether there's a holiday or isn't. Because if the holiday brings the togetherness to it, then the togetherness is false. I think Black History Month works kind of in the same way, since it isn't a holiday, same way as Christmas. Right, but I'll agree with Morgan Freeman on that. I don't want Black History Month, he says. He was doing an interview a long time ago. I think it was 60 seconds or something like that. And it's like, he says, he asks the interviewer, and I'm going to paraphrase, but he says, I don't want Black History Month. And the guy says, well, why wouldn't you? And he says, you're going to relegate my history to a month, which is incredibly fair. And then he says, do you want to, he goes, which month is White History Month? The interviewer goes, well, I'm Jewish. He goes, okay, which month is Jewish History Month? And the guy goes, there isn't one. And Morgan Freeman goes, okay, would you like one? And the Jewish man goes, no. And he says, neither do I. Black history is American history. That is the truth. I don't like Black History Month either. I don't like indigenous people. We need to incorporate that these are parts of our history or our people, and they don't need to be relegated to 30, 31-day periods. Black history is American history. It doesn't just need to be, and it's given the shortest month, right, February. It doesn't just need to be that. We need to be aware of people like Samuel Douglas and MLK and Harriet Tubman and Malcolm X, and through the whole, I mean, because that's American history for the whole year, not just February. In the same way that people who make up our workforce and our taxpayers and our government and so on and so forth have the right and should be able to be who they are, marry who they want, all of those types of things year-round. And I feel like that when you start to relegate it to small periods of time, what you're doing effectively, and I'm not saying you specifically, I'm just saying I think what is effectively happening, what I've observed happening since Pride Month has been a thing, because I've been around since before Pride Month was even a thing, right? Is you're telling people, firstly, this is when it's coming so you can prepare. People who don't care can monetize it. People who do care feel like that they can celebrate and be their most authentic selves then, which means that they don't feel like 11 months out of the year they can be their most authentic selves. And the people who are willing to say this is the month that is going to combat my bigotry, effectively if they are bigots, of course, and step back and say, well, I'm going to step back. I can be quiet for 30 days and then not be quiet for 11 months of their ridiculous, arbitrary exclusivity. I feel like that there are a lot of free passes that are given to the people that are against the movement more than there are passes given to the people that are for the movement. Because Pride Month is 30 days for the people and 11 months for everyone else. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be 12 months for all. The people who are celebrating Pride should be free to celebrate who they are and who they love in December as readily as in June. And that's where that's where I have the problem with it. I understand where people do enjoy the celebration, but I also recognize that it's kind of the boiling pot. That the temperature is at its lowest in June, and then you have 11 months to go before you have, and then you say, well, we can celebrate in June. Well, then why isn't July equally Pride Month? And August, those all should be equally Pride Month of some sort. You should be proud of who you are, who you marry, regardless. So that's where I have the problem with it. I understand it, and I'm not saying I want to be very clear. I'm not saying take it away. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying instead of it being a holiday where it's celebrated one time a year, and people can benefit off of it who have no interests in it, and people can guard themselves when they feel like that their bigotry is going to be least accepted, so that the 11 months that it isn't, they can be accepted. It's like it just leads to so many people who it leads to so many people who are, whoops, I hit the wrong button. I always hit the wrong, it's this one, isn't it? Yeah, sorry about that. So that's the thing. That's my thing. I understand why people enjoy it, and the argument that I hear the most is, well, it's all we've got. But the problem with it is it isn't it isn't all you've got. You are able to take more than that in every forum, and in some cases it is being freely given. I'm saying, look, take more. Take the time to celebrate yourself in the way that I don't really celebrate myself. I don't think that's... But I'm happy and I'm content and I enjoy my life. And I'm stigmatized for many of my beliefs that are not related to that. But you should be afforded the opportunity to not be stigmatized the whole year around. There shouldn't just be one point where it's... So that's my thing. Let's see. The profiting off of events will happen no matter what. If there's a way to make money, there will be people that will take it. Of course, but when you have a month that is dedicated exclusively to that, you don't think that the amount of people that are absolutely against it, who jump on that bandwagon, right? Because here's the thing. Let's say I'm not against it, right? I'm not at all against it. But let's say I was against it. But I know June's coming up, and I can profit. My small clothing business can now make pride flag style shirts. For 1 month, I make those shirts. I sell those shirts. I don't have to espouse an ideology that I don't agree with. I just have to make money for a month. But if I have to do that for a whole year, now it becomes a part of my company's unofficial business statement. It becomes a statement made that I have to openly contradict. So the profiting of it becomes more difficult when I have a disagreement with it, because I'm not doing it for just 1 month to make money. I'm having to make a statement. Well, you're doing it 12 months. You're such a supporter. And I have a personal, let's say I have a personal vendetta against it. Well, now all of a sudden, I do that for 12 months because I want to make money. I have an unspoken espousal to that ideology. And it's more difficult. Either I have to take it all down and prove that I was a hypocrite, or I have to leave it all up and basically espouse an ideology. It's a lot harder to get away from it. Celebration year-round would get tiring. If it's like that, there'd be no celebration. Well, the problem with it is that it's not supposed to be a holiday. It's not supposed to be a celebration, even, if I can be clear. It's supposed to be people being allowed to live the way they want to live. Because, this is going to sound rude, but there's nothing... You celebrate special things, but there isn't anything special about being permitted to love who you want to love. That's life. That's experience. That's something that already happens. That happens to everybody. So you say, well, we celebrate, the day that it happened. I remember I was in a hotel room working when it was federally recognized that homosexual or same-sex marriages could be, and I was like, that was great. And I was actually in the room with some of my teammates, and a couple of them were a part of same-sex relationships, and it was a happy moment. It was like, I won't betray names because they haven't given permission, but it was two very good friends of mine who were on my team at that time, working on my team, and they were finally now allowed to get married, and it was a really good moment. That was the celebration. That was, the wedding. But at the same time, it's kind of like saying to me, that's like saying we can't. I can't get married because, or I don't want to get married because I want to. Basically, I want to have the wedding every day. And it's like, no, you don't. You want to have the wedding when it's appropriate, and then you want to live the experience that the wedding celebrated, or that the wedding beckoned, so to speak. And the same thing is applicable when I think it comes to this. It's not we don't want it to be a big spectacle, because the more it becomes a big spectacle, the less people will accept it as normal. They'll accept it as a celebration or as a spectacle. The people that aren't involved in it, they won't accept it as a normality or a normalcy. They'll accept it as a spectacle, which a celebration always is. And it's like, that's not what this is. These are people who are just able to be who they should be able to be, should have been able to be from the beginning. That's the problem I have with it. was about to say the speaking room looks... Yeah, I hit the wrong button. Sorry about that. That's why, like, small businesses make those kinds of merchandise. It's like buying stuff off of Etsy for a family or something. You feel like it's more genuine. Well, you feel like it is, but the problem with it is if they make that stuff only for 1 month, even if it's a small business, if they make that stuff only for 1 month and then they never make that stuff until the next Pride, are those the businesses that you really feel like you want to support? Because it doesn't look like that they're willing to put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. They're not willing to espouse the ideology of pro-XYZ for the entire year. And I think we see a lot of that. As a matter of fact, I know we see a lot of that. I have examples of that where you see a small company, small person, maybe they do, maybe they don't, you don't know, but they'll make Pride gear on Pride Month because they know it's going to sell. And then after that, it goes away until the next June. And it's like, okay, so this is just a holiday. It's just like when Walmart puts the Christmas stuff out and then Christmas is done. And, you know, by the time, you know, December 15th comes around here, we reach December 15th, then all of a sudden, you know, it's already Valentine's Day stuff is out. It's not special anymore. It's just something that gets put into the, you know when about it's going to be put in stores, and then you know when about it's going to get removed, and it's as easily removed as it is put in. That's my thing. I want to be very clear. I'm very pro the people and the people having their choice and the people being able to love who they love and I don't, again, I've already said this before, I don't care about people identifying how they want to identify. That's fine. If I disagree with an identity, which is, I'll give you an example of some identities I don't quite understand. You have two-spirit people, right? I don't understand. It's kind of like religion in general. You'd have to be able to prove that one spirit exists before I could accept two, right? If that's what you believe, obviously I'll respect that, but you can't, if you have these different things that you need me to indulge in, I'd have to kind of respectfully say, oh, I no thank you, I can't. Those types of things, right? But if you just happen to love someone that the world says isn't right, and I mean that in terms of same sex or someone who identifies alternatively in terms of the sexual spectrum, a trans person, for example, that's fine. That's none of my business, firstly. And secondly, if you want it to be a part of my business, then you have my support. Of course, you should love who you want to love and be a family with who you want to be a family with. And you have my utmost respect for doing that and being able to do that. You have my utmost support for being able to do that, obviously. But my support doesn't only exist in a single month. If I support it every day. And if I don't support it, I don't support it every day. And that's what my thing is. I think when you make something a celebration, it becomes more fly by night. It becomes more of a novelty. And this is a very serious topic for a lot of people. I'll tell you, I lost a good friend several years back. I actually have the newspaper article where they finally found and convicted his killer. But he was a friend of mine. He was a homosexual man who there was a lot of kind of stigma, and there was a lot of, his family was really great, by the way, so no problem there. But there was a lot of stigma, and there was a lot of support that he didn't have outside of, what he had. And his family was kind of, as far as I understood, they were very thin with resources because they were helping so many different people. And so he was kind of in every other regard for the people that he didn't, for the people he could trust, for every person he could trust, everybody, he had 10 or 20 people he couldn't, so everything kind of stayed fairly clandestine. And it just so happened because he couldn't reach out, he was murdered with the relationship with his boyfriend, who came from a different state. Stabbed, I think it was 78 times, and then partially decapitated. And which I was incredibly sad because he was a very gentle soul. He could be a little bit, he could definitely get in a sarcastic way if he was upset with you, but he was a super, super good guy. I mean, just wonderful. But because he had to be clandestine, because there was, he could either be with his family who were stretched for resources, or he could be himself during Pride Month, but he couldn't really be himself openly with everybody else 11 other months, and his family didn't have the resource to take care of every little aspect of that, which I appreciate his family because they're fantastic people. He was clandestine. He ended up getting in trouble. He ended up being killed because he couldn't be himself with and be honest with them. If he would have come to other people and he would have said, this was a while back, but if he would have come out and said, this is my boyfriend, or I'm worried about my boyfriend at the time, he would have been written off by several people. And it's like, no, that shouldn't be that way. Let's see. Still on the subject of Pride, I saw something quite interesting a few days ago. Me and my friend were looking at all of the Pride flags, and the Labra's lesbian flag has an axe on it. I don't know if I've ever seen that one, and I would absolutely become lesbian if I could get a flag like that. Well, I mean, you can still be a supporter of, of that if you wanted to. That's fun. That's cool. Some of the flags are too convoluted for me. There's the one that has, like, it's the rainbow, but then it's got all the different color stripes, and it's like the flag is basically saying, let's include everybody, and it's like, okay, and it's the paradox of everything or nothing, right? If everyone is a thing, then no one is the progress of that thing. So, for example, if everybody has superpowers, nobody's super. The average is now super. If everybody's a good driver, then nobody's a good driver, because good driver is now the standard. And it's like, you don't want to convolute the thing. You want to be inclusive to everybody, but you can't convolute that. It's just like, let's make one that says everybody. Be simple, but I don't know. That flag has changed since then, but that's how it was in 1999, until it was changed in 2016. Yeah, I don't know all of the flags super well. I know some of them, obviously, but I don't know all of them. And it does. I mean, it doesn't. It's not because I'm trying to be rude or anything. I'm obviously not. It's just like I don't know all of the flags, in the same way that I don't know every country's flag perfectly. I know a lot of countries' flags, but I have an idea of what most of the LGBTQ flags look like, though. I believe so. I didn't know about the axe one, though. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that's my belief system. It's not that people. Again, I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to say take away the June Pride, whatever. What I'm saying is it goes from 0 to 100 really quickly from May to June, and then it goes from 100 to 0 equally quickly, and that's a problem when it comes July, because immediately by the time you enter July, you're in there for Independence Day, right? And it's like, that's a problem. You don't want it. The 0 to 100 is fine, but then it goes 100 to 0. Instead, I mean, let's go speed limit the whole year. That's, depending on where you are in my state, that's 75 to 85 miles per hour. That's speed limit, right? So we're still getting most of that 100. I do agree that it's become overcomplicated, so much stuff on the flag. I think adding the plus on the LG... Let's see, hold on. I had a pop-up window for my driver come over the chat. I think adding the plus on the LGBTQ plus was good to keep it simple, but still include everybody that it should. It's become more of an umbrella term. Right, and that's also complicated, because what you do in that is when you put a whole bunch of these things on there, a lot of people are like, well, there are a lot of people, it's become very popular. Since about 2015, it's been this popular. To be like, don't define me, don't put me in boxes, I'm this, I'm that, and the other. And the fact of the matter is, you're always going to be in a box, right? It's just, that's how it works. The minute you say, I identify as someone who's not in a box, you go into the box of people that don't identify as in a box, okay? So that's the nature of it, right? Everything is effectively a box. The problem with it is, when the box gets too big and it holds too much, it stops becoming... it starts losing the integrity of the box, and stuff starts falling out of the box. And we've seen a lot of that, I think, with the LGBT. There was a huge thing a couple of years ago with LGBTQ, just before Q+, let's say LGBT, where LG basically said, LGT rather, basically said B doesn't belong. And it was because if you're a bisexual individual and you get married, you either get married to, provided that you're not polyamorous, which a lot of people are not. There are several people who are, but a lot of people are not. Polyamory is a complicated topic. Let's just say polygamous. Because I'm not going to... Polyamory, I believe we have the ability to love multiple people, but I believe we have a budget, and it's very difficult for me to understand how that would work. And so using the term so liberally, I think, is a bad idea. So let's just use polygamous. Provided you're not polygamous, if you are a bisexual individual, you either marry someone of the same sex, in which case you would either become gay or lesbian, or you marry someone of the opposite sex, in which way you would become straight presenting. And so the LG and T portion were like, well, that's kind of, or I don't think the T was as much about that, but the LG were like, yeah, B doesn't belong in here for that. It's like, well, that doesn't change the fact. Just because a person's married doesn't mean that they don't still have attractions. Doesn't mean that they can't still, whether they have a love for that person is irrelevant or isn't really relevant to the discussion. They still have attractions on both sides of the spectrum. It's in regards to the attraction and not your final significant other, and you don't just become something. Exactly. That's exactly my thoughts on that. It's a matter of that just because you marry someone and you would remain faithful to them doesn't mean that you didn't or couldn't be attracted to an attractive person of the same sex, right? And it's like, but the problem with it is that battle started several years ago, and it's still kind of going on. So it's one of those things where it's just like, let's stop micromanaging all of this. Let's stop relegating it to a month. Let's start looking at it as the normalcy of inclusivity, right? I have, like, it's no more complicated to have a conversation with a man who brags on his husband than it is to have a conversation with a man who brags on his wife, than it is to have a conversation with a wife who brags on her wife, than it is to have a conversation with a wife who brags on her husband. Those four things are not special. None of them are special, except for that the person that was talking was talking well about their spouse. That's the special part. But the fact of the matter between same-sex and not same-sex, there's nothing special about that. It's everyone. That's just what it is. It's just people enjoying being and loving and being allowed to be in relationships with legally recognized relationships with who they want. That's the idea. So that's why I'm vehemently against it. Brain chemistry is complicated. I mean, it can be. I don't think brain chemistry is as complicated as we try to make it be. It is complicated, yes, but I also want to throw in there that I think a lot of people are overcomplicating things. I think that there's a relegation. I'm gonna pull something else contentious out, but this is a place for non-censored talk. Trans people have no problem at all. I have a sister-in-law who is a trans woman. Phenomenal, beautiful soul, such a sweetheart, love her to pieces. And if she ever sees this, Selena, you are fantastic. I have no problem with that. But then there was this desire to consistently push a belief system into the realm of quantifiable. And so then there was this thing where trans women who haven't had full surgeries and this and that and the other can menstruate. Is that really physiologically possible? No. Okay? A trans woman can be societally respected as a woman. There are some things that need to be navigated, I understand, but my point being, can present as a woman. Selena looks like a woman. It's not difficult to say she. It's not difficult to say her. It's not, I get it. But there are pieces of her body that didn't exist, that she wasn't born with, that are required for those specific mechanisms. So I'm happy to respect the identity portion of it in that regard. But the conflation, the desire to quantify it all with the chemistries of certain thises and that's, and in a lot of cases misconstrue, I do take issue with that. I think people just worry about being able to provide the next generation. That's why same-sex marriages can be shunned by families, especially. Yeah, but that's a conflation, right? Because there are antinatalist people, actual antinatalist people. They are few and far between. But then you have absolute 200 IQ individuals like Andrew Wilson, who, by the way, if you've never heard him debate, don't listen, don't waste your time. But if you have heard him debate, it's ridiculous. He believes antinatalism is a force, the majority force in America. And no, antinatalism is not that piece. People that are same-sex marriages are not antinatalist. And in fact, a lot of them end up adopting or having surrogates because they aren't any less capable parents than someone else, right? There are statistics that show that there are issues that are heightened in different, in a man-woman household, there's this issue that's escalated. In a man-man household, it's not that issue, but it's this issue. In a woman-woman household, it's not that issue, but it's this issue. That happens, right? There is a distribution, of course, where there is a checks and balances system of things that are more or less common because of different personalities and the like. That's going to happen. But to conflate that an individual marrying an individual of the same sex is choosing to do so expressly because they don't want to procreate or are in fact an antinatalist is ridiculous. A lot of same-sex people either have surrogates or they will adopt and they make wonderful parents. So I've seen evidence of this firsthand. It's not me sitting there watching shows or the news I've seen evidence of this firsthand. I know a great couple with kids. They are a gay couple, and they are fantastic people. And I love them to pieces, and their kids are great too. So it's just, goodness. That's what bigots need to understand. It's not that hard. If it makes them happy and they aren't hurting anyone, then it's fine. They just have a lot of hate in their soul for the people that don't. And again, I'm a big advocate of hate. I'm a big advocate of being filled with hate and using hate, but not arbitrarily and not against innocent people. Hate is what should propel you to do the opposite of the thing that you hate. And people that are marrying the same gender or whatever, that hate right there, if that really motivates you, then the only thing that you could take away from that as a productive lesson is just don't do it yourself. But to project that hatred onto them because they are doing something that works for them, that is what I have preached against and continue to preach against, an arbitrary use of hatred or an arbitrary hatred, and you just need to get away from that. If you cannot use hate responsibly, then you need not use it at all. Look like them or act like them. Yeah. There is a fear element, obviously. People fear what isn't known. People fear what isn't familiar, and I get that. But I don't think that this is a thing that's been around, like homosexuality. Just talking about that one part. Let's even talk about gender dysphoria as we understand it now. We do have record. While we don't have record of trans people existing back in, the older times because there weren't the surgeries and the therapies, we do have evidence of people that have presented as gender dysphoric and outlets that presented as gender dysphoric as a result of that. We also have ridiculous accounts of hedonism during the hedonistic times, rather, I shouldn't say hedonism, but of same-sex romances that extended beyond the hedonisms of that particular time. We have things like the kabuki theater, which comes of Japan, which was a way for some men who felt disenfranchised to present themselves as the opposite gender by wearing makeup and the like. We have the Spartans, some of the most manly men who had a ton of same-sex relationships. I won't say marriages because it was a different thing, but definitely sexual encounters, let's say. That was probably the case for some of the Vikings. For several of the Vikings, of course, they were around men for long periods of time, sequestered. Very, very possible that helped shape their attractions. We also have the case of samurai, and part of that creed was a creed of man love and of brotherly love, but of a sexual love towards a person, a brother in arms, not an actual brother, of course, but a brother in arms. And so it's like these are not new. We know about these. Ancient Greco-Roman stories have shown this. We have Carmilla, which wrote about this. This book is a vampire book before Dracula even came out, by a guy by the name of Le Fanu. who wrote of it, and it was Carmilla, and she was a lesbian vampiress, and it was kind of this allegory for being who you were, but being anathema because of it. And it's just like, so I don't understand. It's taking a long time for people to evolve, but that's why I feel like it's more important now than ever to not make a spectacle of a single month, but to make it so that it is a reality of every person's every day. You can avoid it by not talking to those people if you want to. You can, but when it's a spectacle, all it does is it riles the angry people up, and all they do is they plot their revenge for a month, and then 11 months out of it, they do awful things like pour alcohol at people. There was a trans woman who got alcohol, like whiskey, poured in her face and burned her eyes up real bad. And it's like, yeah, let's not do that. Interesting how the word gay has evolved from being happy to being attracted to the same gender. Yeah, and it's funny. It's colloquialism. It's why because gay to me does, like, if you think about, again, Christmas stories. Don we now our gay apparel, right? Don we now, so yeah, we're going to put on fun clothes, right? That's literally what that means. Don we now our gay apparel is now we're going to put on some fun clothes. So it's like I still use it sometimes, but it's like, yeah, I use it for. Nobody really says gay is an adjective for a happy person anymore. Yeah, and gay also insinuated more than just happy. It also insinuated like frivolity. There was a level of frivolity or of it wasn't necessarily happy. There was also kind of this kind of nebulousness to it, where it was kind of the state of being frivolously positive, I think. So it is interesting, but yeah, I would be lying if I said that I didn't use the word still in that nebulously positive context, you know. So, but anyway, my point. That's my opinion. I'm not saying that we should take anything away from anybody. I'm actually advocating that what is being done is inadvertently taking away from people. And I understand that the argument generally is, well, this is all we have, and it's yes, but because it's all you have and you're willing to settle for it, I think in perpetuity will continue to be all that you have until you are willing to make it the reality of a person's everyday, because it's your everyday reality. That's my opinion. July shouldn't be any less Pride Month than June should be. August shouldn't be any less than July. September no less than August, and so on and so forth. So that's my personal belief. And again, it's going to thwart the pretenders a lot. It's going to take out people who are pretending. I had an argument with someone who identified very, very clearly as LGBT, and she was not happy with me when I said that. But her major argument was, well, it's all we have, and my major argument was, well, if you choose to take only that which you have, then basically if you do what you've always done, then you'll get what you've always got. That was pretty that's the best summary of that. If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. I know that's inappropriate grammar, but that's actually how the phrase goes. And it's like, that's problematic, don't you think? I mean, so anyway, that's a personal opinion. I'm in support of people being who they are within reason. One second, I'm gonna adjust this. I'm in favor of people. I'm in favor of people being who they are within reason. There are people who are just terrible people. I'm not in favor of them continuing to be terrible people, obviously. But I think that again, I think that I agree with the if you do what you always done, you get what you always got kind of thing. And if we just continue to allow this to be the pinnacle, we allow people to forget things for 11 more months out of the year, or we allow small businesses to profit off of it for a month without having to actually espouse the viewpoints for a year, or to show themselves to be in blatant contradiction with each other or whatever. I think that there is a lot of potential to have what the intent of this is very quickly, and it already is to some extent, but to be relegated to a kind of a frivolous holiday. And it's again, I'm espousing that same viewpoint for Black History Month too. I want Black History Month to be American history like it is for everybody. And so because of that, I also am not keen on on it only being February. I don't generally forget what I don't forget what people have done that happened to people of color have done of any color, by the way, have done for us, like just the multitude of things the cultures that we've been afforded, and languages we've been afforded, and religions we've been afforded, and beliefs that we've been afforded, just all kinds of great stuff. I don't know. That's me. I'm sure people don't forget about the LGBTQ people after Pride Month, for better or for worse. They do. I wish that weren't the case, but they do. Any person, the people that are a part of LGBTQ do not, because they are part of it. But the people who are against it, they unless it's in their face, unless it's right there and then, they don't remember. The people who are just trying to profit off of it, they don't remember, because they're not at the apex of profit anymore. The people who are donating money during Pride Month, they don't remember. They're not donating all year round. They're just donating then. It gives them a reason to forget. Now, the people that were upset that you got to have Pride Month, they won't forget. And the people that live Pride Month, they won't forget. But everybody else, it's done. Every donation that was given, every goodwill, everything that was said, that whole thing, it's just like any other party. It's done. It goes into the ether. You remember last Christmas? Sure. But that experience fades, and you're looking forward to next Christmas, and you're not thinking, in most cases, you're not really thinking about Christmas at all right now until I brought it up. Most people aren't thinking about Christmas. They had to bring it up. Christmas in July, as a matter of fact, is one of those things that came up for a long time. They had to kind of bring it up because it's like, we want to get people in this festive spirit more frequently. But you don't think about Christmas until Christmas comes around. You don't start thinking about Christmas until December. You don't start thinking about that stuff. Now, October's got a little bit, Halloween's got more staying power than just about all the other ones. So a lot of people are kind of spooky moods any which way. But even still, for most holidays, you're not thinking about Valentine's Day until February. You're not thinking about New Year's until January. You're not thinking about Christmas until December. You're not thinking about Thanksgiving until November. You're not thinking about most of those things. You don't see them in front of you. They're not talked about. They're not, or if they're talked about, it's very little, very few and far between. And it's only people that are avid celebrators of those particular things who have an obsession with it, right? Because they live it every day, which is fine. Or other people who, as a general rule, detest the holiday because it either took over a pagan holiday or whatever. Those are the people that remember it. But all of the normal, everyday, quote-unquote people, they don't. They forget it. Nothing can truly be faded into the ether. The donations are done and the support was given, and it was, but I think it would be a lot less if there wasn't a Pride Month. Well, I don't agree, because what I'm suggesting is nothing can truly fade. The law of science, right? Law of conservation of mass dictates that that's the case, but ideologically, yeah, absolutely, things do. Things completely fade into obscurity. Ideologically speaking. Physically speaking, you're completely correct, right? Matter cannot be created or destroyed. It can simply be moved from one place or one state to another. But as far as ideologies, yeah, absolutely they can. Let me give you an example. What about Sumerian belief systems? What about Sumerian religions? What about worshiping to the death god Nergal? Right? That idea is tied to several ideas that I can't articulate because they're gone. I can articulate Nergal. He didn't fade. But him and his belief system have faded into the belief systems that were related to him have faded into the ether. They are very difficult to find. There are multiple languages that have been lost to us permanently. Not dead languages, right? But languages that were actually lost to us, completely lost to us, that we can't translate. There's nothing to... We know that something probably had to have been here. We speculate, but we can't show that that's the case. It's just a kind of best guess. Ideologies can fade. Ideologies come and go all the time, and they can fade. They can fade into complete obscurity. That's the problem. My suggestion isn't diminish June and treat it like every other month. It's escalate every other month and treat it like June. It doesn't need to be a celebration. It doesn't need to be a holiday. It needs to be a fact of life all of the time for everyone. Right? The projects need to be open and available all of the time. The legislation to help enable those who are struggling, who are currently being legislated against, or legislation is old, needs to be constantly there, constantly in front. If you take away Pride Month, right, then you might not get as many donations and as much support. But if all months are Pride Month, then the amount of support you get would be similar to the amount of support that someone might get from some organization like Médecins Sans Frontières, right? Médecins Sans Frontières have a couple of monthly events, but they are also very out there every other month. That isn't the event, as if they were events. And people donate it to them all the time. I donate to them very regularly. The money donated to charity, for example, support trans surgery, ease of access, has been given and hopefully has been put back into research for that purpose. The holiday's purpose is to raise. Right, but how much more money could you raise if that purpose was continuous? That's the other thing. A lot of people, like, the thing about it is everybody's saying, well, we get so much good done in this 1 month, and it's like, you do, but then you are behind the 8 ball for 11 months. 11 more months, you're behind the 8 ball. The amount of good that you get in 1 month does not equal the amount of disinterest you get in the other 11. The disinterest that you get in the other 11 literally doesn't even match up. And it's like, so the amount of, like, it would be good if it would be like, oh, in June we've just made a year's worth, but you haven't. In June you've made 1. I come to the stream and hear French. French what? I didn't say, oh, well, maybe. Did I say that? I don't remember saying something. Welcome in, Ash. Awareness of these things happening and unify people. So then the unity. Let me make sure I understand. So then the unity and the support and the awareness of that only exists in June, because June Pride Month. There isn't an alternative where that kind of awareness and support and unity could be available all year round. That's what I'm trying to understand. Maybe it is. I mean, maybe June is literally the linchpin in the entire organization, but if it is, then that's a weak organization, right? If I have one single, what we would call a POF, point of failure, and it doesn't go well, and everything else kind of falls apart because of it, then that's a weak organization, and I need to restructure, correct? I was making an opinion that I'm not a fan of Pride Month, because I believe people should be able to be who they want to be. Excuse me, I had to cough. Should be able to be who they want to be, and be okay and whatever for the whole year. And I think if you take it and you make it into 1 month, you kind of relegate this very important, very nuanced issue into a series of what is effectively Christmas for a select group of people, a holiday that loses its efficacy after the holiday month is gone. And the argument is that a lot of people are, well, it brings awareness, but the fact of the matter is, I feel like that because it is relegated to the single month, that it diminishes the efficacy of... I feel like that it diminishes the efficacy of the of people being who they want to be or who they're supposed to be. Black History. I don't like. I said the same thing about Black History Month. I don't like the idea of it because I feel like that if you have a holiday for it, I feel like that you diminish that being the reality, right? Like Black History Month is like, oh, well, nobody would think of Black History Month if Black History Month didn't happen. But it's like, why? People of color were doing things in the United States, at least as far as I know, all the time, year-round, for several years since the beginning. Wouldn't be pride. These movements wouldn't happen if there wasn't a time to rally. I don't know if I understand. Well, pride is one of the... How does... Like, when people... I don't understand. When you say these movements wouldn't happen if there wasn't a time to rally, so then that's... So the community isn't... There isn't really a community then, right? Because if it's necessary only... If you're only receiving support when you rally, which is in June, but nobody else comes together to do that, then that's not really a community, right? That's just a group of loosely affiliated people who decided to celebrate a holiday together, correct? That's what I'm getting at. Like this is... Oh, you're fine. No, I'm not I'm not attacking you. I want to be very clear about that. I'm trying to figure out, because again, your argument might be like there may be something in your argument that I'm just missing that does make sense and I can adopt it into mine. I currently, though, am just trying to determine where it is. You're fine. I'm not attacking you. And if we walk away from this just saying, well, we disagree, that's fine too. But that's kind of my belief system is like, if you need a holiday, if you need to celebrate the holiday, then it's not a community. It's not really a community. It's a group of people that have something that's similar, right? And they come together to celebrate, and then after that they kind of just disband and do their own thing again. It's not really a community when you think about it. That's just a loose amalgam of people, right? And that loose amalgam of people would not be able to convincingly, I think, show solidarity. Stop attacking him. No, I wanted to be sure, because I know this is one of those contentious topics, right? I get it. And I don't know that... I know Fighting Max is in support of people being who they want to be. I think he's been very vocal about that. But at the same time, I'm not attacking that part of it at all. I'm not attacking any of it, really. I just want to make sure I understand the argument, because I also agree that people who are, alternate... Let's talk about neurodiversity versus neurotypical. By today's standards, I'm considered neurodiverse. I'm not going to go into detail. It doesn't matter. I'm not special. I'm different. My mind works differently. My emotions work differently. I'm not a part of a community. There are other people out there who are neurodiverse in a different way, in the same way. I'm not a community. There is a month dedicated to my particular neurodiverse condition and to the umbrella of neurodiversities that are there. And Fighting Max, I actually have discussed this with you in your own stream, just very briefly. I don't want to get into, like I said, I don't get into details, but and it's like, I don't want to celebrate that month because we're not a community. Right? I share a condition, or I share a thing together with it. It doesn't have to be a condition, because I don't think homosexuality is a condition. I want to be very clear on that, but I'm just trying to kind of offer a likeness. I share a condition with some other people that share the same type of condition and whatever. I'm not a community with them. I don't want a month. I don't think it makes sense. I'm a normal guy living a normal way. If I need to communicate or articulate myself differently than another person, then I'll speak with them individually. I'll make it happen. In terms of awareness, I don't care. Whether or not you know or don't know doesn't matter to me. Because it's my reality every day anyway. So I'd rather just live life as normal, as close to normal as I can. I'd rather you just look at me and go, when we walk away, hey, that was a cool conversation. And if I were married to a man, I'm married to a woman, but if I were married to a man, it'd be the same way. It'd be like, I want to walk away from this conversation not raising awareness. I want to walk away just as if you had spoken to a friend that was married to the opposite sex or whatever. And I think that's kind of what I'm looking at. I want that to just be the reality of every day, because my celebration is that I am married and that I'm married to who I want to. That's my celebration. That's kind of what I'm saying. So I can't exactly articulate my point, but I think the community will remain if Pride Month continues. I'm not attacking that Pride Month has to go away or whatever. It's just I feel like that if Pride Month is the linchpin that maintains the community, that the community is a weak community. If it's a community, they would stick together regardless. That's what I would hope, right? But maybe not. I'm definitely a fruitcake in many ways, mental. There's nothing wrong with that. I can't stand community. It's overused. It's difficult to. It's one of the most basic terms for a group of people under one cause. Of course, it's overused. It is. And we're using it. Obviously, we're using it in the most simplistic, way. We're using it in the most simplistic way. I get it. But my point is, if a holiday going away or a holiday month going away would cause disband, discord, and otherwise potentially disuse of a community, quote unquote, then that is a weak community. And I know for a fact that people who have gone through the terrible things for the 30 plus, 40 plus, whatever years that since it's been, because it only barely started being destigmatized in the 80s, then the 90s, and heavily destigmatized when it was finally made federally legal in the US in 2015. So it was like, I know that people who have endured that long are not weak people. So why would they hinge their stuff on a single, like a holiday event to keep everybody together and keep awareness raised? They're strong. That's a weak thing to kind of keep everything on, I feel. Strong for such strong people. Stop attacking. I'm not attacking gay people. As I said, I want people to be able to live and identify and choose the partner they want to choose. I completely am 100% with that. And as I told Fighting Max, I was in a hotel room. I was working in a hotel room way in 2015 when we finally got back from it, and President Obama at the time gave the order for federal recognition, or he created the I think it was an EO, so an executive order. But anyway, that it was passed into law that same-sex marriages would be federally recognized. I was in the room with two of my teammates. I was in the room with 6 people total. 2 of my teammates at that time were in same-sex relationships that they couldn't have recognized in our state because our state was one of the last ones to. Well, they still don't like it, but it doesn't matter. It's federal now. And it's like, I was super happy. Like, it was a happy moment right there because these women who wanted, who are in these same-sex relationships, like, were breaking down in tears. Like, we can finally get married to our partners that we've been with for all these years. It's like, those are strong people. Those are people who have endured, who have continued. Their relationships have endured the test of time. And so that's where I kind of look at it and I'm like, these are strong people. What does the holiday do? Like, the holiday seems like the weakest part of this whole thing. These are strong people. So I don't know. Personal opinion. Again, I'm not attacking it, and obviously if people want it, then they want it. I worry that the consequence of it being a holiday means that it will be subject to the consequence of it being a holiday like all other holidays, which is that for 11 other months, it's forgotten about, it's left behind, it's nothing. And this is something that you can afford that luxury in Thanksgiving, you can afford that luxury on Valentine's Day, you can afford that luxury but you can't afford that luxury when it comes to people's lifestyle, when it comes to people's choices and people's, living, basically. Having an issue because a bloke wants to be with another bloke and both of them are happy is unstable behavior. It's insane how much it bothers some people. Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's exactly my point. People should leave people alone. I completely agree with that. And I think that that's a strong enough point. I think it's one of those things where we just say, let people be. Doesn't need to be celebrated nor detested. It just needs to be. Just let it exist. But again, I mean, I get it. I get it. I've made my opinion. I just feel like that the holiday month allows people to potentially forget about it more quickly than if we were to escalate all 12 months to being, look, this is just what happens. This is life now. If you don't like it, deal with it. But if you like it, great, because it's freely available for you to be able to love. There are no closets to be in anymore, right? June you're not out of the closet, in July you have to go back in with other people, or you're not having to tread upon eggshells in June so that someone that you don't want to see, because people, the thing about it is in June you're proud, but at the same time there are a lot of people who are celebrating or partaking in that, who feel like that they have to kind of go back in the closet, they have to kind of go back into this, and I'm using that colloquially, I'm not trying to be offensive, but there's certain people that didn't participate in Pride that would never see this. I got to go out with my friends and be myself, but then I had to come back and my family had no idea I participated. And it's like, look, make it so that there are no closets that people need to go into. Like, June isn't just be proud and then July it's shame again, because that's kind of what it is in some cases. No. You can be proud to be you in June, and in July, proud to be you, and in August, proud to be you, and in September, proud to be you, all the way through. I think about it in this frame. My daughter, right? My daughter's not romantically involved, thank goodness, with anybody. She's not to that point where she's any interest. But that's the thing. If my daughter, when she decides she wants to concentrate and think about that and focus on that or whatever, says, I like guys, I'll say, okay. And if she says, I like girls, I'll say, okay. And she's not going to feel like June is a special month for her. She's going to feel like that she was in a special situation where her dad said, you know what, you being you is more important than you being what I want you to be. Provided, obviously, that it's not something awful like a serial murderer, right? That's what I want. That's what I want extrapolated. I don't want her to feel proud in June and shame in July. I want her to know that I'm proud of her no matter what, and that her attraction to a same or different gender doesn't matter. That doesn't make a difference. Doesn't matter what month it is. Doesn't matter what day it is. That is my daughter. She has my support. And she, that's what my point. I guess that's what it is. That's the reality. I want her to be proud of who she is every single day, and I want to give her that freedom. And I don't want it to be only acceptable for it to be a party in July or in June, excuse me. But to people, again, to people who are enjoying the celebration aspect of it, if what I'm saying is if what I'm articulating is incorrect somewhere, I'm happy to be corrected. If you disagree, if you just like the party aspect of it, some of them do. I know that's the case too. Some people who do, just enjoy the party aspect. That's fine too. I know my wife and I have a slightly different opinion. I think we generally agree on the fundamentals, but we have a different. I think she enjoys the Pride Month, and I'm just kind of like, eh. But either way, it doesn't matter. You're all fantastic. In whatever way, basically you're all unique. You're all fantastic and able to contribute in one way or another, and who you love, who you choose to be with, does not diminish that one bit. How you act upon it can, but who you love doesn't matter. It's crazy. Oh, hold on. Let's see here. It's crazy when companies jump on the Pride Month bandwagon or whatever it might be, Black History, whatever. Companies pretending to be tapping themselves on the back. Yeah, that was one of the things that I was making mention of. Is and Fighting Max kind of gave a point against it. I'll give my point. Maybe you disagree with it too, because I think Fighting Max might, and that's okay. But it was basically, you have he was saying that he likes to buy from the mom and pop shops. It feels a little bit more genuine, a little bit more, and I understand that. I agree with that. But I was saying, what happens if I'm a guy that is anti all of that ideology, but I want to profit? I have a little t-shirt business, and basically I say, oh, June's coming around. I'm going to make Pride clothes, and I make Pride clothes for all of June, and then I stop making them in July. Okay. You look at that, and you're like, everybody, you don't keep track. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. June is Pride Month. We've already done it. This guy made his shirts, yada, yada, yada. And then you come to me in August or whatever, and you're like, what do you think about it? And I'm like, well, I don't agree with it. I made my money, but I don't agree with it. You're going to have a harder time going back and nailing that down. Versus, what happens if every month is Pride Month? What happens if every month is acceptable to be proud of who you are? And now I'm having to make shirts for you all of the time. And now if you come to me and you ask me, I say, I don't agree. I have to show you I'm a hypocrite. I either say, I'll make this for money, but I don't agree with it. So I have to show you I'm a hypocrite, which that'll hurt my business. Or I have to either pseudo or realistically, I have to espouse the belief of, yeah, I get it. For 12 months a year, that's what I do, is I make Pride equipment. I make Pride clothing. Then it's like all of a sudden it's harder for me to separate myself from that belief system. It's harder for me to be away from it. So anyway, I don't know. That's my belief. But I think everything that is important needs not be relegated to a month. And anything that is fun and frivolous can be relegated to a month. Valentine's Day is a Hallmark holiday. I love my wife 365 days of the year, except for on leap year, 366. But I love my wife all of the time. Valentine's Day is a cutesy holiday, whatever, but I forget about Valentine's Day pretty quick. I don't forget about my wife ever. Because the holiday means nothing. The purpose is everything. Top 10 gay Star Wars characters. Number 1, Luke Skywalker. He's not gay. They did that in the comic, but they tried to. Here's the thing. In Star Wars, leave the characters that are already established alone. Go, if you want to make gay characters or this or that, fine. That's there's nothing wrong with that. But don't mess with the ones that are already established. Like, if Kay Vess finds herself attracted to another woman, fine. They tried to do the same thing with Marin, which we'll see here. They had her in this like relationship with another woman, and it's like, we already know Marin and Cal are kind of interested in each other. Like, we already had that. Like, don't mess with her now, because you already got that story going. What about Asajj Ventress? We can't mess with her either, because we know she loves Quinlan Voss, right? So, what about Aurra Sing? We don't know. Let's do it. Aurra Sing is in love with this other woman or this other alien. That's cool. That's fine. What about Ula? Don't know. We don't know who she's in love with. Let's go for it. But don't mess with the ones that are already established. Go and, use ones that aren't established, or that's my thing. Why are you hiding in I'm using a colloquialism. Is it Pride? Yeah, it's June 1st, so Pride Month started today. Gonna see a ton of companies change their profile picture because they're allies. Yep. I don't change mine. I'm friendly regardless, or I'm not friendly regardless. If I like you, I like you. If I don't, I don't. And the month does not change that. Also, neither does your marital status. Excuse me. If you're a straight person or a gay person or a bisexual person, and I like you or don't like you, that does not change because of that status. Your love life does not inform my decision to like or dislike you at all. But I may still like or dislike you. I don't buy from those shops, but I think they're more respectable for doing that than the huge corporations. What's the difference? I mean, the huge corporations are doing the same thing. When a small company does that, do you not believe that they're attempting to do the same thing that large corporations are, which is to capitalize on the fact that the month is currently focused around a specific thing, and then in that regard, they're trying to, make additional sales? All right, well, I'll head out for a bit. I'll probably be back. Oh, yeah, no worries. Hey, I appreciate you for... I know that's a hard topic, and I know I put out a pretty, hard viewpoint on it. And it's not intended to be a rude viewpoint or anything, but I appreciate you for sticking around and just talking through it with me. So, I mean, it's one of those things. So, but I really do. I appreciate that, and I hope. Obviously, it wasn't my intention to offend, so I hope it didn't cause you any issue or undue stress or anything like that. That wasn't my intent. It was just, that's how I think of it. I feel like it's a good thing to treat people who want to be as if they can be, and as normally as possible too. They want 100% capital. I think a lot of people do. I mean, that's what frustrates me. I really want people that love people or have alternative identities in that particular spectrum. I want those people to be able to fully be. I want those people to be able to fully be who they are without having to apologize. And I personally don't feel it's a contentious opinion, but maybe it is. It's not my intention, but... Oh. You always offend me. I've emailed the higher-ups and nothing gets sorted. I know how that feels. All right, well, I'll move over to that. But anyway, I really do appreciate you fighting, Max, for that. I certainly do. It's. I know that's a hard thing to talk about for a lot of people, and I appreciate you for engaging with me in that and sharing your difference of opinion. Unless they start saying they're an animal, I'm sorry, unless they start saying they're an animal, then you've lost. Yeah, I don't agree with that. If you start identifying, like that was one of the things that I was saying is if you have to espouse your belief system to reality, to a scientific reality when it isn't, then I don't care if you want to do that in your personal life. Like if you decide you want to come out in public as a dog or whatever, I don't believe that you are a dog, and I can't entertain that illusion myself. But at the same time, if that's what you're content doing and being, then that doesn't bother me. If you come to me and you start saying I'm a wolf in a previous life, I'm going to say no. Genetically speaking, that is not at all possible. Right? I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I just don't. That's not true. Homo sapiens do not share any DNA with Canis lupus or any of the Canis species. And it's always funny how a lot of people will pick the wolves that the animals they feel like are the most fearsome. And it's like, haha, I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, no, you're not. But again, if you want to live your life that way and you're not trying to conflate science or whatever, you're just saying, no, I want to live my life as I feel like a bipedal wolf would. Well, that's your business. I don't care.
Haven't used these since the scrapyard on Braca. Prof gave them.
Amen, my Texas friend. Yeah, I mean that's me. I really want to be very clear. I'm not pro go out and hurt people. That no matter what. I'm not pro go out, and I don't mean emotionally. I'm saying I'm not pro go out and antagonize people. Right? I'm talking about in any way.
Cordova's toolbox from Bogano.
But I don't think it's a bad thing.
Probably still there, waiting for someone.
I don't think it's a bad thing to... I don't think it's a bad thing to... When somebody insists that you say something that you disagree with, I don't think it's a bad thing to say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't think it's a bad thing to say, no, that's not me.
The Shio bird's feather is supposed to bring good luck.
I've been called a bear. It's a whole different story. Yeah, I think we know about those exploits.
Where did I put the pepper?
But no, it's like that's.
Every day I wonder if I made the right call.
Like I said, I'm not interested in people going out and hurting other people, or for example, somebody comes out and they're wearing a wolf, whatever. Yeah, they're wearing a tail. They're going to get some looks. Obviously, that's not something we see every day. But am I going to sit there and point and laugh at them? Ah, you're a wolf, you're a dog, you're this. No, that's dumb. That doesn't do anybody any good. Doesn't do me any good. Doesn't do them any good. And then, so it's literally only if they come up to me and they're like, hey, just so you know, I actually share DNA with a wolf. I'm going to be like, okay, no, that's not true. Right? That's when I'll get involved. That's when I'll make a correction. But as far as, even if you go out in the public and you're deciding to dress like that or whatever, that's none of my business. I don't care. You go outside dressed like it. I mean, there are people that go outside dressed like a Jedi, like with robes. I have a guy that in one of the small cities around me, he used to dress in literally Jedi robes every day, and he walked everywhere he went out in the sun. And that's just what he wore. He just wore Jedi robes, and he lived this very kind of Buddhist life. But they were definitely Jedi robes. They were not Buddhist. They were earth tones, not orange and long sleeve with hood and all that. But anyway, but that's what he did, and he did that for about a decade. I remember that he did that. So I was like, all right, if that's what he, I love Star Wars. Jedi don't exist. That having been said, if this man wants to live as closely as a Jedi. If he would like to live as closely to the way that he believes a Jedi would live here, then by all means, I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I wear a Witcher pendant. I wear the Witcher pendant I have a Witcher pendant on my neck at all times. Except for when I sleep. I have it on my neck at all times. I don't think Witchers exist. But maybe there's a thing about the story, the world, or the ideology that I like enough that I'm like, you know what? And I do that. I very much do that. Just...
Let's land.
Okay.
System's failing all over. Got anything? Starting sublight engines. Nice one, buddy.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to do some stuff.
We're not gonna make it to the hangar. Got a bird down.
We're gonna have to do some stuff before the Mantis is back up and running. That's right, because we got too hurt in the TIE fighter pursuit. I think it's clear that you're not pro go out and do anything to anyone. That's the issue nowadays. People feel like they have to state something for the record in case it's perceived differently. And I agree. I think it is perceived, though. I think everybody believes that everything that is said to them is a call to action. I'm not saying that there aren't calls to action that are made actively.
This must be the outpost.
But I do feel like, and especially on the internet, I feel like people feel like everything that is said to them is a call to action, and it is not a call to action. I don't want you to go do things. I don't want you to believe what I'm telling you either. I want you to listen, and then, Fighting Max, again, same situation. He said, he disagrees with me. I kind of tried to deconstruct the belief system. He says, I'm having trouble articulating it, but I disagree, basically. I'm like, okay, I don't need to win. That's not the goal, right? That's okay, but that disagreement wasn't to spur him to go and forget everything or do something different or whatever. It was just, let's have an ideological talk. Let's have a talk about an ideological stance. I find Pride Month, etc. ridiculous. Doesn't mean I want to go and hurt anybody who takes part with or associates the topic. I just don't care. The issue is I don't care isn't good enough for some anymore. Well, even still, like if you say I don't care, right? How do I want to say this? I don't care should be good enough. I completely agree with that. Well, yeah, hold on. Let me read the next, because when they hear I don't care, they take it as, so what you're saying is I shouldn't live my life. It's insane so much. Okay, one of the things that I've heard the most commonly in the overreaction, and this is not with everybody for sure, but is you choosing not to say okay or yes to what I say is the invalidation of my existence. First, there are several things, but let's go over a couple. Number one, I am a utilitarian for almost everything. I have some things that I disagree with the utilitarian path on for personal and inexplicable reasons, by the way. Right? So I can't justify I'm saying they're objective truth. I can only say these are things that I have no reason for, and I'm not fighting that you should agree with or disagree with, but this is the case. I am a utilitarian in that regard, in every other regard but this, I don't believe anybody existing is valid. Okay? So this is my first thing. I think everybody's existence is arbitrary, whether there is a god or gods or there are no gods. I believe that everybody exists arbitrarily. I don't believe that you exist for an express, objective purpose. You just exist. If you have a kid, you create purpose by now having to take care of and make sure that kid's there. If you get married or you have a partner, there's purpose. Your purposes are things that you create and you generate. Okay? They're not things that are objectively and set forward. Number two, I believe that you are a part of the cosmic causal chain. That means that everything that you are is a result of everything that occurred a priori. Okay? So I think that free will's kind of not really a thing, because I think that everything that you do is based on everything that has happened before you. And that even though you have the illusion of choice, that the choice that you do end up choosing is the choice you always would have chosen given the circumstances that occurred before you. Right? Are you religious or are you not religious? That's probably not just based upon your own viewpoints, but your viewpoints informed by what your parents were, what other people were. And you take those, and then all of the variables that seem to be variables after they have occurred become constants. And so your choice, therefore, goes from being a variable to having been a constant before it was even made. Okay? So there's that. And number three is, if there is any need or any potential to validate somebody or their existence, you don't need mine. You really have to hold me in high esteem to need my validation, because even if I did actively say I invalidate your existence, I invalidate it by failing to admit that you exist, by failing to admit that what you identify is a real thing. Why is my word so powerful? Right? Why do you care? Why do you need my validity? If it's my daughter, if it's my child, if it's my wife, certainly there's some extra gravitas there. But if you're some other random person, you don't need it. And you say, oh, well, it's you and someone else. You don't need, I live differently than a lot of people. I don't care if any one person in society, apart from my wife and daughter, if every other person in all societies denounces me, so long as they don't sentence me to death, I don't care. I'm going to live whatever way I want to. I've never felt peer pressure. I've never done drugs or smoked or any of that because there were always people that, even when I was in school, there was a big drug epidemic a long time ago. And and there was people trying to, hey, no. Yeah, but don't you want to be cool? Nope. But come on, man, that means you're a dork. So? Yeah, but so? I'm a straight A student and I'm undefeated 4 years on the football team. Do you think I care? Right? Like, it's just ridiculous. You don't need my validity. Your existence is arbitrary anyway, so is mine. Our validity doesn't matter. Even if we did need it, it still wouldn't matter. It's just, Anyway, too much stuff. There's an issue in general. Everyone feels like they need an opinion on every topic, and it's expected. If you don't, they automatically assume your view on it's the opposite end without any... That's exactly correct. I agree with that. And you don't... You're right. You don't have to have an opinion. I have a tendency to want to have an opinion on as much as I can have an opinion on, so long as I feel like that I'm informed, I'm decently well informed. But as far as like, I don't need you to like my opinion. And we can disagree. I can change my opinion. They didn't call him the Texas Pie. I've never smoked anything, honestly. I've never smoked weed or marijuana or tobacco or any of that. I'm just not a fan. All right. I forgot I'm doing a Jedi consular run. There's something really nice about having a green saber. It's not my favorite color, but green saber being
long way to go.
Green being the color of the Jedi consular, I think is a really something really nice about it. But like I said, I'm not. That's the thing is you don't need my validation, and I think that's kind of part of what's coming on about
all this. Mind giving me a closer look?
Sure. I think part of that is also... Oh, there it is.
That is one big beast.
Yeah, it's pretty cute too.
We have our target. Now let's reach it.
The other thing is, again, like the agreeing, right? Hold on. Cool. The other thing is agreeing when we have a debate or something like that, feeling like that you're invalidated because someone doesn't agree with you. Like, that's another big problem. Fighting Max and I, for example, I don't think we just had an issue, but like we disagree. I don't need his validity. He doesn't need mine. We just had a difference of opinion. Ash, you and I, same thing. You don't need my validity. Your opinion is valid. If we disagree, but there isn't some objective truth to the agreement or disagreement, then who cares? We just disagree and we walk on.
Long time ago.
They should make evil red lightsabers. George, you can have that for free. There's I will say, I am playing... I've passed this game on the PlayStation 5.
So Grease has the parts we need.
And my guy does have a red lightsaber, and it looks pretty cool. They made a party lightsaber also, which changes color every time you swing it. Not a big fan of that myself. I see where people would think it's fun. Actually, I saw a comment on YouTube, and I actually commented to that when they said you should have one where you swing it and it changes color. And I had to let them know, hey, if you pass Jedi Survivor, you get that. This is an echo. Okay, hold on. Come here. There's another one, I think. Cool. Yeah, they let you get red ones, though.
Wait, stop.
They let you get red ones too, when you pass this, though. They're not evil. You'll see the... You'll see the new canon for why red crystals in this, not this episode, probably the next episode, but you'll still see it. depending on how long it takes us to get degrees and all that. So do you have a storyline idea for this franchise? So I have a storyline idea for this franchise. So there's a princess, she ends up being the sister of this freak who's into her gold. I think that that's become one of the popular memes, is to play the scene from Empire Strikes Back and then immediately after pause it and play Sweet Home Alabama. Which I personally find hilarious, so. Alabama, I want to say Alabama does get a bad rap because I don't believe that they are actually that inclined towards incestuous relationships any longer. I know that they're generally talking about Greater Appalachia, but just using the colloquial term, right, I think that's pretty funny. Scrapyard, okay. Well. Okay, I have to remember. There we go. Yeah, I actually, yesterday, I actually got to, speaking of cool little odds and ends and differences, I wanted to, yesterday, I wanted to paint a picture in the world of The Witcher, and I was like, I'm going to do this, and Anna got me these really, she got me these nice big canvases, and just a fresh set of oil paints and palette and everything, and I painted a gigantic Witcher-esque landscape. It's basically a big tree. It's a part of the world of Witcher. It's kind of like the land outside of, like, before you hit Velen, because Velen's real awful. I was going to paint the Hanged Man's tree, but I decided not to. And but anyway, I got to do oil paintings, and I painted like the area before Velen, where you get like where there's this like wooden golem and this griffin, and it was so cathartic. It felt super nice. I'll actually send it. Stereotypes come. Yeah, they do. No, I mean, I get it. They get a bad reputation. They have a bad reputation now. That's stuff that happened in the past. But no, I agree. I mean, okay, hold on. Now I'm gonna see if I can send this. I'll just send it to you, Ash, so you can see it, see what you think about it. If I can find that, there it is. Boop. Let's see. And it never buys me anything bit weird, but it is what it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know. I opted not to paint a... There we go. I sent it. I sent it to you. There, you can see what it looked like. That wasn't a good idea. No, she was sweet. She was like, yeah, I'll do this. And so she went and got it. And I was like, now paint me. I'm not good at people. I would love to get better at painting. I'd love to get better at painting people. Hold on. Fine, I was going to try and throw him off the bridge.
No touching. I live for this.
And you died for it.
Like any separatist I remember.
You're almost as good as... Well, thank you.
He's gotten himself into.
I use the same technique as... Well, so no, I don't. I use a similar technique. There we go. He uses a technique called wet on wet, which I also use. But I use a technique, a different technique to add textures, which I call stippling, or which is called stippling. And they do it with a pen. I do it with a brush. But basically, I add texture. So, for example, if you look down at the like rock basin below the tree, it looks like I've actually painted every little individual rock and every little root. And honestly, that's just the byproduct of stippling, of good stippling. The roots I actually carved out with a palette knife. Thank you, though. I thought it was cool. I was going to put Geralt in there, and I was like, I kind of like the creatures more than I like having an actual Witcher in there. So I decided I actually started painting him, and I took him off, and I was like, all right, let's do... not to mention, Geralt isn't the only Witcher. He's not even the strongest Witcher. He's one of the strongest. But technically, I think Eskel is considered much stronger than he, so it's like...
Don't fall behind.
Oh, wait, I didn't mean to do that. Beatty! But thank you, though. I appreciate that. I wish I were good at painting people. That'd be really good. I'd have a lot of fun with that, because oil painters that painted people were Da Vinci and the like. Absolutely amazing. Would you like to see my recent drawing? I've been trying to get better lately. Haven't done it for a while. Sure, yeah, I'd love to. Don't tell me this is going to be a joke and you end up sending like a stick figure to me. And you're like, haha, I did. If it is, I'll still accept it because that's great, but... dirt. No, I loved Bob Ross. I still do. I mean, he's not alive anymore, but I still do. Alright, let's see what you got here. Really? Yeah, I see it. It's a rocket ship. That's funny. Oh man.
How much they talk.
I knew it was gonna be something. I didn't know it was gonna be that. God dang it! It is kind of hard sometimes to lock onto these. I knew it was gonna be something like that. I knew it was coming. That's great. Do you? I want to say, didn't? Because you actually said you sketched, didn't you? At some point, I mean, months ago, I think it was, or maybe even a year ago. Did you say you? You said you did. You did or do sketch or tried to sketch or something like that. Am I just completely misaligning that conversation? Drew that beast in less than a minute. The Heckin' Chongus. I don't. My younger brother would come up with a better name for that than I'm sure.
Detected. Eliminated. Enemy Jedi detected.
There we go. Years back, I dabbled and would like to do more. It's been a long time. It's a lot of fun. I do have to say I do like the painting and that canvas. By the way, I mean that was a blank canvas. I don't draw in the I was going to draw on the canvas, and I was like, I'll do this, and then I said, nah, you know what? And I didn't draw on the canvas. I just went straight to it with the brush and said, you know what? Again, a lot of Bob Ross. A lot of his teaching bleeds through, you know, because he did it in the 80s, and it's like he was doing this in the 80s, and I was, you know, so when I was a lot younger, and he's like, you know, and he did these in the 80s, and I think he did it all the way through the 90s, yeah. So anyway, either which way, I was a lot younger, and so it's like it was one of those things where he was like, anything that doesn't work out the way you want it to is a happy accident. And like on that painting, I figured that out. I was like, I painted some different landscapes a couple of times. I painted Geralt in it, and I was like, I don't want this to be about him. So I took him out of it, and it was no problem at all. It was very easy.
Gotta move.
So I was like, you know what?
Doesn't sound good. Okay.
Gosh dang it.
Explode. Good to know.
But it was like, all right. I mean, this could just be a happy little accident. I used to leave them on in the background to be on in the background fairly constantly. I'd like to do pixel art stuff would be awesome. I do love pixel art. I don't know anything about how to do it, but I do love pixel art. I wish I did. I wish I did know how to do it though. That'd be really cool. Let him go and scan this.
A lot of tar. Be careful.
Yeah, it was that was his thing. It was just like, oh, it's a happy little accident. Because I think a lot of times we get involved, and I did too. You get involved with the drawing, and then you're like, if anything goes wrong, I'll just be upset. I'll have to start over, and it's all this hard work, and it's like, and then in painting, it's like, not really. You just wipe it off and then go back over it with some better paint. And I think you'd be really hard pressed to figure out where I painted Geralt into at this point. If you look at it, you'd be like, I can't tell. It was nice and easy.
Wish we could help.
I think it was either you or Fighting Max who said that he was kind of the inception of it was ASMR, and I think there's probably some truth to that. That's probably the ideal. And I think if ASMR is just somebody painting gently while talking into a microphone with a pleasant voice, which he did have a very pleasant voice, then I could get behind that kind of ASMR. It's just the clicking your fingernails on stuff kind of ASMR that I'm not a big fan of. Or, you know, whispering into somebody's ear, whispering, you know, I'm going to give you a haircut or whatever it is they do. I don't know what it is, but like whispering that kind of stuff, it'd be like, okay, I don't really want that.
You're a droid. You don't have to. Raver sees. That's why I follow. Why we all follow. He has the
Okay, we're gonna ambush the Bedlam Raider.
Detective. You say so. Taking the shot. Assessing damage.
Didn't realize there was a second Bedlam Raider. Gosh dang it. But yeah, if that's all that ASMR was, I think I'd be able to get behind that. But it's like there are a lot of weird ones, I think now. I know the thing that happens the most that I hear or see when somebody, like, I'll be watching it's like an investigation of some sort. Like, oh, we're investigating this person. And, okay, fine, no worries, whatever. And they'll do like they'll shoot back to a clip of that person, and that person will be like clicking their fingernails on a. That person will be like clicking their fingernails on a bottle of hair or nail polish or something. It's like, I don't want that. I don't care about that. Oh, here's some. Did I miss this priorite?
Hey, not bad.
All right, but it's like, I don't want that. I don't want the.
Get the enemy, blockhead! I'm firing!
barely got me. There's it.
Didn't mean for that. There we go. I'm back. The missus kept trying to feed me strawberries. I'm not a piece of meat. Hey, that would be nice, though. Strawberries and cream, right? Let me hold this up. I can't remember who the person was, but there was one that was just like clicking their nails on bottles of fingernail polish. Where it was like click, click. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't like the sound of clicking fingernails on stuff. Did I take a wrong? No, I didn't. Try here. Okay, we'll jump over here. It doesn't have to break a second time. I like that. I never realized. So I'll probably die a couple of times. Again, I'm only on Jedi Knight here. So it's not going to kill me it shouldn't kill me nearly as many times as my first playthrough did. I'll die on that every... I meant whipped cream. I didn't mean like that. It's really hard to lock onto this little beam. Come on. There we go. You see how we got the weird Shaggy from Scooby-Doo game balance there. And I'll need to use a stim before I go on take on the Bedlam Raiders. I mean, that's nice. If she wanted to feed you strawberries, though, man, take the strawberries, right? No, I wanted to keep. I always like to kind of keep the amount of games I'm playing.
Hey, you got a visitor.
Need an assist.
Finish him off.
Ow! God dang! God dang it!
Right here, buddy.
I need to get. It didn't let me ambush the raider this time, so I'm gonna have to take them both on.
Your block cannot last.
Stop you to the... I like your gumption.
There we go. Good lord. That's what I'm trying to do. Also, one big game at once, and maybe that's kind of my thing. Is like I'm doing just the games that I'm kind of having fun with at the time. I wanted a physical copy. I think I might have told you of Clair Obscura though, because it is becoming ridiculously hard to find, and they did actually put the whole game on the disc. Again, there's a game website called Does It Play, and I'm using that to kind of look at how many games are on the disc. So, like for example, it'll tell you only 85 megs are on the disc on the PS5 version of Doom. It'll tell you that only, I think it's 145 are on the disc on the Xbox or whatever. And it's like, but Clair Obscura, it says, okay, it's on the disc. There is a patch you might want that you have to kind of get, but it's the whole game is on the disc. But there's a patch that, fixes some wonkiness. Or like on this one, the whole game's on the disc, but there's a patch that gives you the ray tracing if you want, So it's like if they shut down the internet portion of all of the stuff that I was doing, how much of the game could I play?
Not pleasant.
And in this case, like for example in Survivor, it's like, okay, you'd have the whole game, but the ray tracing, you wouldn't have the ray tracing. It's like, okay, well, that's not a big deal, right? I'm gonna go back all the way over here and get my stims and stuff back, get my extra skill point. And so that's what we've been doing. We've been buying games like that. Devil May Cry 5 on disc, obviously. The whole game's on the disc. We got special edition. Whole game's on the disc. So anything that says on Does It Play that the game is on the disc, and that the only download you need is maybe a mild patch to help the game not be so wonky, then I take it. Or we buy it, basically. So this game I have on the disc, of course, as well as I have it digitally. Well, no, I have it on... Yeah, I do. I have it digitally on the disc and on the disc for both systems. So it's like, Okay, survival. I have 2 skills ready. Whoa. Stim formula. Wait. Focused sight. Automatically evade. Let's do the stim formula. That way the stims will give me more when I use them now. I've got 3.
Let's keep going.
But they'll give me more. They'll be more efficacious. I'm starting the process of my new channel tomorrow, and by process I mean I'm starting a game and recording the footage. Very cool. Any spoilers as to what the game's going to be, or is it just gonna... Are we just gonna keep it a mystery? Okay, I feel like I need to jump off there in the middle. Right? I want to do it. It's probably dumb, but I'm going to do it anyway. Was it dumb? Yeah, it was dumb. Just led me back to there. Alright, fine. I'm just gonna go. That was dumb. I didn't know that's where that led, But no, I was gonna say any hints, or I don't want to say spoiler, but any hints as to what the game will be? I think you've made a hint or reference that it's probably in the retro wheelhouse. I'm undecided about 2 games, so I'll say, oh, fair enough. It's just a curiosity. Okay, we'll let him do his thing. I'm just gonna take the rope up. I'm excited to see it, man. It's been a minute, and that's That's the pit droid. It's been a minute since we've gotten to see it, and the stuff that I saw before I really like, so I'm excited. Whatever way you go with it, it's going to be good, so. I have no doubt about that. But you know, yeah, I wanted to find a copy of Clair Obscur physically because it's getting ridiculous. If you take a look at them online now, when you buy them new from a place, it's $50, right? So when you buy it physical disc, it's $49.99, or if you buy the download, $49.99. But people are reselling them literally. If you can't find them at that first market rate, people are selling them for $79.99, and it almost, to me, reminds me of what was going on with the Xenoblade Chronicles thing. So I worked in the game industry at that time also. I don't know if you remember Xenoblade. I might be going a different direction, but I don't know yet. Either way, June 10th is my new channel tomorrow. Oh, that's fine. I get what you mean. They did Xenoblade Chronicles. GameStop did something which I thought was kind of dirty, which was the new copies could only be sold for, at the time, they could only be sold for $50, I think it was, or 60. They were reselling pre-owned from scalpers online at 80, right? So GameStop was basically instructing all of their people to unwrap the game, unwrap the brand new $60 game, and sell it to people used at $80. Because if it's sold as used, then GameStop keeps all the profit. If it's sold as new, then the developer gets a good portion of it. Or basically, it's recouping the costs that GameStop had to pay to the developer to buy it that minute to procure copies. Do you ever buy from Amazon? Sometimes. I like to try. I really like the idea of finding stuff out in the wild. I really do. I don't always, obviously, but like I didn't buy games from Amazon. I bought some threadings from my microphone stand from Amazon, but it's like, if I can help it, like I like to find the games in the wild. And we found Clair Obscur in a town. Actually, Anna was awesome for this. A town about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. They had 4 copies of it. And I asked her, I said, would you mind? I'll pay for it. You know, obviously I'll buy it. I have to work. Would you mind driving and picking a copy up? And you can get yourself coffee and dinner and whatever else you want, obviously, because you're doing this for me. She's like, sure. And she was just awesome. Went out and grabbed me a copy. I know that they have some, but I worry that a lot of cases that they kind of do the same thing as GameStop, where the factory could open them and sell them as pre-owned, even at new. Maybe that's not the case.
Brutal!
Big mistake, Fred.
I forgot these. B1 battle droids are really heavy, so it's not going to go real well to try and push one. Bedlam Raider should, though. Did you survive? No. Okay, cool. Yeah, they may not. Did you get your copy of Clair Obscur from Amazon then? I guess, because everything I was finding seemed to be like copies of Clair Obscur were being sold for $80, and then we found the one at a game store, or it was actually at GameStop, I believe, and they actually sold them. They were selling them for $50, which is the fair price for it. Okay, I'm not gonna fight this thing because I think I can just run. This is its lair. I just need this. If it doesn't chase me, I should be okay, right? There it is. You got Claire from there? Okay. Maybe it is. There's a UK shop online called Shop2 where I get a few physicals from too. Okay, very nice. Yeah, I was gonna say on mine I usually try to get it from a physical store. That's not a bad idea if they have the copy, if it's the same thing, right? If they've got the copy of basically the exact same thing, then there's no point in and having to hunt it down. But yeah, that's kind of one of the things I really like about it, is that they have, when you find them out in the wild, there's just something really gratifying about it also. Like, it just feels like, I don't know, the hunt is kind of fun. I think we lose a lot of that because everything is so accessible nowadays. I think we lose a lot of that. So I'll give you an example. I went to a pawn shop in a town about 10 miles from me. I found Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition on disc for $5. We bought Star Wars Outlaws for $20. Star Wars Jedi Survivor for $15, and Lego Star Wars for $10. We had them all digitally, but we wanted a physical copy since most of those are actually on the disc.
Be surprised to see us, huh?
And we were able to get whoops, didn't see you. We were able to get those at local stores and find them for really good prices because of it. And those were brand new, by the way. All of those were still wrapped in cellophane. Claire is $44.95 in Amazon in the UK. That's what I got it from. Yeah, then that's perfectly fair price. It's $49.99 American, so the same price. That's where we were on the. I guess that's where we are on the. But the prices that I gave you there is we picked everything up brand new in the cellophane, so it was like, okay, we still got the. I don't know. It's just something about the hunt, something about going out and being able to hunt and find a good deal. What did I... Oh, I already did it. I made the Obi-Wan. Let's leave that. Let's leave that there. I didn't give him a new look. Okay. I made my lightsaber Anakin Obi-Wan on the other side. Eventually, I will make it into my own custom stuff, but for now, we'll just leave it like that. Annie Obi.
Oh, I hope they're okay. Who are you?
It's okay. We're friends. What happened?
We got ambushed.
I was at a car boot this morning. I saw some great games I should have got. Mario 3 and Sleeve Super Clean for £15. Saw a mint condition box of Ocarina for £50.
What were you doing here?
Go back and get them, man. I'd say mint condition boxed Ocarina for £50.
The Raiders.
And a Super Clean.
Bugs.
It's too dangerous for you here. You should go.
Don't know what a car boot is. It's a large flea market. You might call them. Yeah, car boot. I mean, I think the equivalent to what we usually understand car boot to mean is the trunk of a car. So depending on what you're doing, obviously that's that's what I was thinking when I was thinking is like trunk of a car sale. Which I can't lie, I've purchased games from the trunk of a car.
Your marks are messy. Lucky shots.
We do a. I bought a. I bought a Nintendo 64 with like 40 games for literally just gas money. Oh wait, I know what I'm supposed to do here. For literally just someone needed gas money, and they were like, "What do we give you?" And I was like, They had a big van. They were like, "We need gas money." I said, "Okay." And how much do you want? And they were like, "Well, we just need $20." And I said, "Well, okay, sure." And they were like, "We'll give you all this for it." And they handed me a bag. It was just filled to the brim with N64 stuff. This is a long time ago. And they were like, "Yeah, just $10 or $20 will do it." And I'm like, "Okay, tell you what, you're gonna give me all that. I will make sure you're filled up, and then here's a couple extra bucks because I'm not gonna just." That felt super unfair. So I filled up the car and everything, but I ended up walking away $60, and I think I got it was a gold Ocarina of Time N64 with I think it was 20 games, including Mario, the first 3 Mario parties, and this and that and the other. So very, very good with multiple cars and so on, not just one guy in his car. Oh yeah, the boot. Yeah, the boot is the trunk. I just mean going to a car boot is just... Okay, I see what you're saying. I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I actually have purchased out of the trunk of a single person's car if they sold me something that was right, so I'm not gonna judge, Okay, what do we have down here? Okay, I get what we've got. Yeah, you're just like, I found this one guy, his name was Steve, homeless Steve, and he sold me, and I was like, okay, well. I love the world of Bogano. Hold on one second, let me see if I can remember where the heck I'm meant to go. I know I'm meant to get bombs from somewhere, I just have to remember where.
By much.
Okay. Okay, it doesn't look like I can do much from here. Yeah, I mean, I'd say if it's still open, I'd say go grab that Mario 3 and go grab that Ocarina. I mean, that's a heck of a deal. $50 for one for a mint condition boxed Ocarina for $50 is insane. Just getting the cartridge for Ocarina right now is like $50 at least. And then 15 for a really clean Mario 3 is a great price because I believe it's going for like 30 right now. Looking back on my wording, it's really funny that if you're not sure what I'm on about, you probably read that as me saying, went to some chaps' cars when they had a bunch of games, didn't have them. That's that's exactly, that's what I was thinking at first too. I was like, all right, you went to buy out of this guy's trunk, and then we're like, I should have done it, but I didn't. And I'm like, man, this guy's probably selling, like, might be selling some bootleg stuff. He had Majora for £75. Was it the gold cartridge with the lenticular label, or was it the gray cart? Just to curiosity. I mean, it's not a big deal, but just curiosity either way. Okay, wait a minute. How do we get down here? Okay, we just drop. I guess we just drop. Probably right.
Not a bad find.
Okay, and a splody wall. Okay. Yeah, I have. See, that's the thing. I have the Majoras with the lenticular. They made a Majora's Mask with the gold with the lenticular thing, and it came with the. That actually, I got that in the same bundle that I got the golden N64 with the N64 controllers with. It was included. It was boxed and mint too. I mean, if it's got the box, you got to consider N64. But I don't know if they were any different in the UK, but I can tell you in America they were just cheap little cardboard boxes. Sometimes people would keep the plastic sleeves that went on top of them, and when the people would keep the plastic sleeves that went on top of them, that was great because then, you know, the box was in good condition or would stay in good condition for longer. But if they didn't stay in the little plastic sleeves, then the cardboard boxes would just wear down over time, because you got to consider those games came out almost 30, next year it'll be 30 years ago. So those games would just deteriorate, basically, or those boxes would just deteriorate. It wasn't like today, you know, plastic cases of today where they deteriorate very, very slowly. It was like, because I still have some I still have several in box, but I have those plastic sleeves on them too. And the one thing I do like is you can buy the plastic sleeves separately now, so you can keep them in. Because like I have my Diddy Kong Racing, my Snowboard Kids. Those are all in box, you know. Remember back in the day, I used to have all that stuff. So stupid getting rid of it back in. You know, I did. So when I was a long time ago, I had a whole bunch. I had a big series of games. I gotta figure. Hold on. Let me figure out where I'm going here for a second. I had a big collection of games, and I got rid of a ton of them for money too. You know, just onset or early adult. Not early adult, but yeah, kind of. And I was like, yeah, I need this. And then I was like, I regret this. And I immediately went back, and my collection, I think over the course of that like year or two, I think my collection grew 5 times the size of what it ever had been prior. I have every game that I gave away and then several. So, okay, let's go to the tar, I guess. I need to be able to get... Aha, here we go. I don't think we think about it, a lot of it, though, too. It's like life. We have to do the...
Call it in. Another one down. Ravis will want to know. Ready for combat.
There we go. The thing about it for me though too is I never know when I want to play a specific game, and just having all of the games is kind of that remedy to that. It's like, okay, well, I have.
Closing. Down. Jedi. Watch a real
Okay. Hold on, let me get this echo real quick before I get killed.
I was
Trespassing. Blaster.
Roller mine. Okay. Yeah, I like the idea of being able to have all of the games, and you know, because I never know what'll strike my fancy at the time. So it's like I want to know what if I want to play this, it's available to me.
Avoiding enemy. Give up.
I was looking at the other day. I was like, looking at another game. I was like, oh, what is a retro game that I miss playing? I haven't played in a long time.
Let's see.
And one immediately came to mind. It was Prince of Persia, The Warrior Within, and The Two Thrones actually more for me, because I thought The Warrior Within was good, but I thought getting the true ending was too esoteric. And but yeah, I mean, just I'm sitting there going, well, you know, now I can play these. I now kind of want to go back through and play those again. And it's like, well, I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't probably even have it. I probably wouldn't even have thought about them if I didn't have them here to just look at. The only one of those I didn't care for was the Sands of Time.
Hey, BD, a little help?
Because you had to kill every one of them with the dagger, and it was like, very tedious.
Hey, what have you found? You want to press it, right?
I missed. Hold on, I'll get it.
Those things pack a punch. Okay, now let's find a way out of this tar pit. That could be useful.
I'm gonna get one to chase me the long way. I haven't played the Forgotten Crown. I have not played that one yet. I would like to, but I'm in that same wheelhouse of I want the physical copy. And the physical copy around here goes on sale pretty frequently for like $15 or something. My pull just not strong enough at this point? I was gonna say, better be. I'm gonna be really upset if that's like, oh, you have to. I don't need a hint. I just did it. Yeah, I haven't played a Forgotten Crown yet. I want to get a physical copy, and the physical copy you. We'll do it this way. Whoops.
Help! Stim!
There we go. Sorry. They go on sale. My point is, the game goes on sale. The physical copy goes on sale for like $10 or $15 fairly frequently. So I know where to get it. So I think I'm going to, when I hear it goes on sale next, because it was back up to the $50 or $60. When it goes on sale next, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up a copy. It looks really fun. It looks like they kind of paid homage back to like the Sega Genesis version and the Amiga version that they had back in the day, which my younger brother and I used to love to play. And actually, we had one of the very first episodes we had recorded was the remaster of the classic Prince of Persia being played, and it was filled to the brim with, you know, the foul-mouthedness that my brother brings to the in the funniest way, the foul-mouthed humor that my brother brings to a lot of the things that we do, a lot of the fun things that we do. But we lost the did we lose the footage or we lose the I think we lost the audio. Because back then I didn't have, well, I guess you probably already know this. So when you're filming a make a commentary about this. Okay, this was actually not an echo. I thought it was an echo, so it's not. When you so I don't know who knows this. When you're streaming, my audio equipment and my video equipment are going through the same thing, right? But when you do a when I first started out, I didn't know anything, and this was years ago. Now it's been almost 10 years, right? But I didn't know anything about audio. I didn't know anything about how to make audio, video, and all that work. So I actually had one computer using a USB microphone recording my audio, another computer recording his audio from a USB microphone, and then video being recorded in a device called a Hapog HD PVR2. And then what I would have to do is go and try to synchronize all those. And the problem with it is I also didn't know the difference between 44.1 and 45 kilohertz, you know, or 48,000. So it's 44,100 kilohertz or 48,000 kilohertz, 48,000 hertz rather. I didn't know the difference between those, so I would accidentally record. The game would be in 44.1, our audio would be in 48, so we would have this echo, and we'd end up not synchronizing, and it would just... And you'll see it, like, I've left the videos up. Spy Hunters, the very first one, there's an echo. It's still funny, but it's just, like, the audio is terrible. And then we moved up to figuring out how to use an interface. But the interface, you don't get the audio at the exact same time. So I figured out 44.1 versus 48. And so what I did is I would go into the interface we were using. Now we were using two XLR microphones, and we switched them out a lot. That we used Sterling Audio ST51s. I'm sorry, ST55s. We used Sterling Audio ST55s, and then we moved to AKG P220s, and then we moved to Blue Spark SLs, and then we moved to AKG C214s, and then now we have AKG C214s, except for mine, which is a Neumann TLM 103. And so it was like we worked on that, and we tried to get everything going and look sounding good, but we still had to sync the audio with the video. And so when you're doing it like a video, post that, or you're making video quality, a lot of times you had to do that. And then I learned about streaming. I learned about OBS, and I was like, oh, well, I could have just done this the whole time. So, but then when you're actually making like a commentary movie, like you're actually rating or doing something on a game, for me, you have to do all of the gameplay, and then you have to do the audio separately, and then you have to cut all that together. It's like, oh my goodness. So that's why I've kind of opted to do streaming for now, because it's easier for me to do while I work on bigger projects. But anyway, I keep wanting to do a podcast, but I don't have the time right now, including space and just issues in my life. Well, I mean, I'm happy to do it when you're ready, and I think WGB said the same thing. So just take your time when you're ready, and when you can, let us know. We'll be here. If you want us, indeed, right? Obviously, if you don't want us, then we're still here for you in support. So, I miss the old YouTube time of lower quality microphones and no script. I like the idea. So here's the thing: I like the quality, but I don't think that we should lose the genuineness of the commentary. Let me explain. So if you go back and you look at my... Hold on here, I'm going to adjust this. I just adjusted my seating, so I'm going to adjust my... There we go. Hopefully you can hear me okay. In the case of, like, if you listen to the old way that I did things, the quality's just not there, but the genuine is. And now the quality is there. I think my quality is good. I hope you guys agree. But the genuine doesn't go away. Like, I'm either having fun playing this game or I'm not, right? And in this case, I'm having a lot of fun because I really love this game. But my point is, I was going to see if I could... Okay, let me get back on the elevator real quick. I don't mind lower quality microphones at all, but I think I do like the idea of having that higher... Oh, there's I can't get over there yet. That's a stim pack right there that I want. It gives me one extra stem. I'll get another one in the city, but it's hard because I have to go through a Mogu, and anyway. Okay, well, whatever. But like, yeah, if you go back, if you look at the evolution of my channel, you'll definitely see, you'll understand that I didn't have an idea on what the audio levels should be like, for example. So you'll go from one episode that sounds really good and clear and loud to one that sounds ridiculously quiet and still clear to one that sounds not very clear and quiet to, you know, because I didn't know how to noise gate. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. And again, a friend of mine, Aaron, who's been on this channel before a couple of times, videos being Street 2, Lion King, etc. It's like those are... Son of a gun. Those are, he kind of helped get me aligned with a lot of that kind of stuff, like learning the audio part of it, but I like that. I like that my stuff, I think, looks and sounds pretty good. I hope it does. But that I don't think that the genuine nature of doing things that you enjoy should change. There we go. And I think a lot of people have affiliated that, because you have to consider the abundance of quality for a lot of people has equated to, or the new quality has equated to, you have to have a script for everything. And it's like, then that takes away the genuine experience. I really overthink channels making videos. It's terrible. Well, I mean, yeah, no, but it's fair when you have a whole. That's another part of the pressure of the quality is like if everybody's got these top tier quality things, and you're like, I have to live up to this, I have to live up to that. For me, I don't do that. For me, it's like, I just.
Are you okay?
Poor BD. He's like, no. Sorry.
Didn't I tell you to be more careful about who you scan? Come on.
Cute little guy. Rather than just doing it, I keep waiting for the right time, which will never happen. Which is why I'm starting recording tomorrow and uploading next week. Yeah, that's what. Well, I appreciate that. Like I understand you want it to be the best, and that's another thing is just waiting for the right time. It's like the right time is never going to come. It's always going to be now, right? There's never going to be a time that the planets, or at least there isn't usually. Let me be very clear. A time where the planets just align and you feel like that, oh, this is when this video is going to hit. It's just like, for me, it's just like, I feel like playing Star Wars today. And I want people to be able to hear me and it sound nice and clear. I want people to be able to see me and not see me, but see it. And it look nice and clear. I want them to have that full high definition experience, that full experience that shows that I'm willing to invest the appropriate amount of time and equipment in making sure that they have a good time, but I'm also going to not overcomplicate things and just have fun, talk about what I'm having fun talking about, which in this case is Star Wars. Okay. Let's see, can I ambush that guy?
Someone's here.
Okay. I don't think I can ambush him because I'm fairly certain he knows exactly where I am. But I can use a roller mine on him. Where is he? That's a B1.
I will find you.
You're welcome to.
Big threat.
I'll just use it on the B1. I've just realized that about the right time. I just miss making videos and talking about games. That's all I want to be, not something. Yeah, I think that, and I think that for me, that's all it is. I mean, if the hobby. It's kind of like what I was saying, I think, last week, which was if the hobby gets to the point of where it's you feel like you have to do it or you have to hold it to some sort of standard, then whoa. Okay, you can go here. You go over there. If you feel like you have to hold yourself to some standard that is really hard to hold yourself to about your hobby, then all of a sudden it's not your hobby anymore, it's your job. And when it becomes your job, then it's like, oh, I'm not having fun with this, right? Let's pull this a little farther up. Here we go. I think if you were going to pick a right time, if that were the thing for me to pick a specific, like a right time, it would be, what is the time that I'm going to have the most fun playing this game? I think that would be for me, right? I'm going to have the most fun playing Star Wars right now. I'm in a Star Wars mood. What happens if that mood changes? What happens if I'm more in a mood to play The Witcher? Well, then I play The Witcher, right?
Is that? Boglings. You're a long way from Bogano.
You can.
You that, BD?
We're on Bogano. Yeah, that's the way I look at it, and I know it's I wouldn't say oversimplistic, but I know it's a simplistic thing where it's like, you know, oh, the way he does it is he just, you know, I just play what's going to be fun. I'm in the Star Wars mood, I want to play Star Wars. I'm in the Witcher mood, I'm going to play Witcher. I'm in a mood to try something new. All right, I'm going to play this recommendation. And you've seen I've played recommendations too. Like I've played Celeste all the way through. Oh, let me pet the Bogling real quick. I've played Celeste all the way through. I've played A Hat in Time all the way through. I had fun with them. And then, you know, I was like, all right, I'm in the mood to play something I want to play that I know I like.
Could be around here somewhere.
So Jedi Survivor happened to be that. After Jedi Survivor comes Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, which I want to play. But again, I had to get another physical copy.
Had some technical problems.
Then it's going to be Lego Star Wars. Then it's going to be Outer Wilds. Then it's, you know, who knows? I might actually decide.
You're okay.
I said The Witcher. I might decide to play The Witcher. There's nudity in it, so I have to be careful. But I might play The Witcher.
Freeze-dritis?
Grease? Oh, shoot, I know him. I run the stables in town. My name's Mosey.
And Cal. This is BD1.
Why are you cute, little droid?
It's good to see a friendly face.
Likewise. Well, path seems clear from here. Shouldn't get in any trouble.
I like that they took the first southern character that you meet.
And say hey to Domodendra when you get in town. She doesn't take kindly to strangers.
We understand. Thanks for the advice, Mosey.
Bet.
I like that they named her Mosey too. That's funny. Mosey is a word. It's a southern word, I believe, or at least it is used commonly in the southern in southern slangs, basically, and it means to move at a moderate to slow and somewhat drunkenly pace. I'm gonna mosey on down means I'm gonna kind of, just when I get there, kind of like if I were going to walk, I'm gonna walk. If I'm gonna mosey, I'm just gonna kind of just take my time, maybe not the straightest path. So the fact that her name is Mosey and she's the southern character is kind of fun.
Hey, didn't expect to see you so soon.
Thought I'd check out the stables.
Well, these ain't it. I'm just tending Brutus here. He's an echo. Stable's down yonder in town, and if you find a beast you want saddled, drop on by.
I'll keep an eye out, Mosey. Thanks.
I gotta see where the... Hold on, now I want to see where the person who did the voices from... The southern accent's not bad. Yonder is also another... Down Yonder is another... let's see... Jedi Survivor... Watch it be Jennifer Hale. Voice actor. Elizabeth Francis, where's she from? I want to see if her... I wanted to know if her accent was real or not, but... Let's see. That doesn't say. Just says she is... She was born in Okinawa, Japan. Hold on. She was born in Okinawa, but then she was... raised in San Diego. So she wouldn't actually have that. So that was a pretty good southern... pretty decent southern accent she put on then, because she wouldn't... Californians don't usually have that type of a southern accent, and they don't usually use that. That is something you would absolutely hear in Texas or Mississippi or Georgia, you know. That's something. Go mosey on down yonder is a very common southern phrase. And it doesn't mean anything specific. It legitimately just means move at a leisurely, somewhat slow, and potentially circuitous pace. Down yonder could literally mean anything. Just means not here. Down the way. So I find that funny. I don't know. That's good. That's fun in a that's good. That's funny in a good way, I think. I like that. Okay, I know this isn't where I'm meant to go. I just want to take a peek real quick and see what's going on here. I'm meant to go way over there, but a Bedlam Raider. I couldn't get both of them, but I got one. I got a perfect counterattack there. Dang it. I gotta stop hitting those landmines, though. That isn't doing me any good. Oh, sorry, I leaned forward and hit the microphone. Okay. I feel like there was supposed to be... There's got to be something that they're guarding here, right? Maybe not. That's okay. I opened up a shortcut, so I'm okay with that. Why does Grievous have lightsabers? So Grievous collects the trophies from Jedi he kills. He is... he's a part of a species, an alien... Well, so I have to go in accordance with the understanding of the cobbled canon at this point. He's a Kailish, right? Very, very warlike alien species, very domineering. Not the most violent, domineering type, but very much that kind. And he believed that part of his... part of the thing that was making him impure was some of the organic parts of him. So he would constantly make himself into this robot, this droid. As he did that... Oh, there's Doma. As he did that, he started adding weight to his chassis, he started adding magnets and such. He realized that he was actually a pretty decent match for a lot of the Jedi, who would use force push and pull. Let me meditate here. basically then becoming a Jedi killer, a perfect Jedi killer. He aligned himself with Dooku. He started killing Jedi, started stealing their lightsabers, and then Dooku trained him on how to use a lightsaber. You could see this in the 2002 Clone Wars. Dooku does not believe that Grievous is a skilled lightsaber combatant, and Grievous does not also like... I'm sorry, Dooku does not like that Grievous takes lightsabers.
Hey, got a proposition for you.
He believes that lightsabers are meant to be deeply personal, incredibly elegant, etc., etc. So... he's not a big fan of Grievous in that way, but he does use Grievous very well. And so all of those lightsabers are Jedi that have been killed that he adds.
It'll be good to see Grease again.
So he's not a Jedi. No, he's not a Jedi. He's a Kailish warrior. He's trained with a sword, and then he's later trained by Dooku with the saber. But yeah, he's not a Jedi. Who is the first Jedi? That would be a group of people. There were a group of people. There are a couple of contests about this, but that would be a group of people. A group of people basically became Jedi, and at the time, the light side and the dark side of the Force, there was no Jedi. It was called Jedi. It was J-E-D.
Ended up. See her stuck in the.
Spelled. There was like J-E-D.
Wandering.
D-A-I. I think is how you spelled it. But basically, they used different sides of the Force. The different sides of the Force actually had different names. They were Ashla for the light side, Bogan for the dark side. And the group consisted of, I believe, 5 Force users. One of the early ones that turned to the Sith from them was the Sith Lord Ajunta Paul, the left-handed Lord. And he was because he was left-handed. He went to Yavin originally, found native Sith, because Sith is not a group of people, it's a species, it's an actual species. Found a group of Sith at a temple called the Masasi, which are a subset. Masasi are a subset of Sith. They're a big, bulky, kind. Slew their leader and then became their leader, and then espoused the name Sith as the ideology instead of as the species. There we go.
Who's the stranger? You don't look like no raider to me. Quick, just act you.
What's the deal with Cad Bane? He's cool. Cad Bane's really cool, and there are additional... I haven't seen them just yet. I have them. There's Tales of the Underworld should show more details on what young Cad Bane was. There are 3 episodes for that. I'm listening, by the way. No, that's fine. You can ask questions. I mean, I'm getting answers out on whether or not they're the correct or the answers, and whether or not they're addressing the whole of your question. I don't know, but I'm trying. But yeah, he's a Duro's bounty hunter for the most part. There's some stuff that kind of in Tales of the Underworld. There are 3 episodes, the last 3, that are supposed to show how his upbringing and such happened. I have not yet gotten to see those. I've seen the first 3 with Asajj Ventress, who I like even more than Cad Bane. So that's kind of that, but. Yeah, he's awesome. He's a gunslinger who's able to rival Boba Fett in almost every single way. As a matter of fact, he's better than Boba Fett in most ways, but probably not as good as Jango Fett. Turgle.
Think you can pull a fast one on us?
If you don't recognize the voice actor for Turgle, he's the guy that plays the voice... If you've ever watched The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, that's Billy.
Hey. Let him go.
That we cannot do. This thing sold us a priceless relic. The key we have been searching for. Except, of course, it's fake!
I thought it was the real deal, Ravis. Honest.
I find Cad Bane interesting. Thrawn, and who's the one who trained Palpatine again? Oh, Plagueis.
But mistakes like
Yeah, Plagueis is awesome.
cannot be tolerated. Let this be a reminder of what happens when you cross the Bedlam Raiders. Kill him.
Oh no! No!
Enough.
1 second, I will get into that. I'm looking at little Turgle flop away. We're gonna kill this man.
Jedi.
Yeah.
Remind our friend here why his kind are supposed to be dead.
The voice of Ravis to me sounds like the voice of a main villain from a 2000s thing. It's fake. Could be. Plagueis is awesome, and that's part of the reason I hate the Acolyte is because nothing against people who enjoy the Acolyte, but the reason I hate it is they decided to make Anakin not as special as he's supposed to be because Plagueis apparently had the experiment already. He already had done the experiment from before with the twins. And I think it just kind of diminishes a little bit the importance of what Plagueis was attempting to accomplish and of what Anakin accomplished. Okay, I gotta get this pattern down.
It changes nothing. Fast, aren't you?
Decently?
You need to do better than that. Too strong for you. Can't touch me.
You're almost dead.
Look at...
I love that after it can't touch me,
Impressive.
you get me killing you.
Next time you want to pick a fight, you go through us.
Okay, Ravis is actually a really cool alien species. There's only one other that we know of from the Clone Wars named Dirge, by the way. They are immortal and almost infinitely regeneratable.
Your kind in action after all these years. No
Yeah.
Jedi now. If you stay your hand.
No, yeah, it wasn't a matter. So, like, for me, I didn't think the actor... Let me put it this way. I didn't think that the actor or the actress, whichever you'd like to go by, or determiner, I didn't think she was the worst thing ever until she started coming out with the canon reasons that she does some of the stuff she does, and then attributing it to
This is the one who...
microaggressive, misogynistic tendency and this, and it's like, that none of that was communicated.
Torgal, get over here. Yes.
I like Doma also.
You're Doma?
Well, yes, I am. You got a name, Jedi?
I'll let Doma say something real quick.
Cal. This is BD1. We'd, appreciate if you kept this quiet.
And let Ravis leave.
Out here on the frontier, only way we survive is by sticking together.
That's right.
You didn't have to step in just now, but you did.
Yes, you did.
Turgle, shut it. We'll keep your secrets safe.
I don't mind Turgle.
I'm sure we could both benefit from it.
So a lot of the things that I had, a lot of the parts that I had problems with the Acolyte was a lot of the way that they kind of diminished the importance of Anakin with the twins, Plagueis doing what he was supposed to be doing with them before he even did it with Anakin, which means that Anakin wasn't that special because he wasn't the only Virgins. And then Star Wars has a really bad habit, in my opinion, of taking things that we already have, taking concepts that we already have, and adding or subtracting or changing. So, for example, Canto Bight, we have Nar Shaddaa. I've already said this. Jeddah, I'm sorry. Jeddah. We have Tatooine. Starkiller Base. We have Hoth. Right? So it's constantly trying to undo the things we've already done. The Virgins, now we had Anakin, now we have the twins. The witches, we had the Night Sisters, now we have whatever the heck the Coven in the Acolyte is called. And it's just constantly replacing things we already have and we already have better versions of. And that's kind of my big problem with a lot of it.
You look terrible.
Have you ever written your own Star Wars story? Yeah, yes. I've never done anything I would publish. I mean, nobody's going to pay because you have to work in accordance with the frameworks that Disney gives you and such. Yeah, I've written the way that I would have done episodes 7, 8, and 9. I've written.
Around Kobo too lately.
Gyro's burnt out on the Mantis. We'll need your help to get moving.
I've written the way that I would do episodes 7, 8, and 9. Obviously, the side stories with Kyle Katarn, right? Desan. The way that they did that and how that could marry in. And honestly, I don't think I could do a better job than was done in the original books. In most cases, like if you go through and you read the you don't have to read the whole thing, just of the late 2000s and the early 2010s. Go and read like Tempest and Invincible and the ones that are a part of the Star Wars their legacy now, but the Star Wars collection of Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade Skywalker and of Jason and Jaina Solo. Go read those, and if you don't feel like that those are better sequels, then I think that we'd have a big issue. So that's the thing. I really like the way. So I'd probably skip Dark Empire. And I really like the way that they I'd skip Dark Empire. I think I would probably go, and when I'm saying Dark Empire, I'm talking about post-Dark Empire. So what originally happens in the books is Palpatine clones himself, comes out in a younger body with his lightsaber, which is yellow, by the way, and, stronger, better, faster, all that kind of good stuff. I don't think I would have done that. Let Palpatine's sacrifice be the final, because that was Anakin's sole purpose of bringing balance back. And then now let the Emperor's been overthrown. There are the people are basically revolting against the stormtroopers that are left, and the loyalists. The loyalists are organizing into splinter fractions, which are referred to as the Remnant. Okay, so governments are still forming up independently. They're not powerful enough because they've been weakened by the Empire.
Thanks, Grace.
They are going into being a part of their own systems first before they can really join up and do their thing, and then they go and fight against the Remnant, basically the Loyalists. The Loyalists still mean that you have Inquisitorius, who come out post Inquisitorius, by the way, being Dark Jedi, who come out post Anakin, post Palpatine. So those, you get the Jedi Jarek, who was a Miraluka, and Desan, who was a Chistori. And which is a kind of bipedal Tyrannosaurus Rex. We've played on the channel. We've seen him. And his apprentice, Tavion, and so on and so forth. You just keep getting these people that are Jedi who basically have the ability to do that. And Luke kind of obliterates him. And then Luke has his wife, which he discovered, Mara Jade. He starts an academy with her on Yavin. Leia learns. Han is skeptical still. He knows the Force exists, but the best part that he can manage of it is really good shots, right? That's basically the most he can manage. They have kids. The kids do things. Jason and Jaina Solo are the biggest ones. Eventually, after they grow up to be young adults, Jason is seduced by the dark side of the Force and becomes Darth Caedus. Jason assassinates his mother, Mara Jade. Jason is confronted. Luke cannot bring himself to confront his nephew because because it would push him to the dark side, the loss of his wife, and then striking his nephew down. Jaina, who is more or less able to manage her feelings a little bit more efficiently because she's not mourning the loss of a partner of 30 years, instead is able to go and hunt down Caedus and fight Caedus, and then Jason Solo, Darth Caedus, versus Jaina Solo, the light side, to a knockdown final drag out. I think that'd be a really good finish to the Skywalker saga, because by the end of that whole sequence, Luke's too old to do anything major anymore. There's no more need for balance to the Force. I genuinely believe I could reboot Mortal Kombat and fans would love it. I agree. I think the fans, that's the thing. I think fans are going to be, because when you start getting enveloped in what you feel like the franchise should be based upon a company's perspective, which is to say, dependent on how much money needs to be made.
There's the kitchen. Basement must be through here.
Then you stop making things that people enjoy. Fans, I don't think every fan who is a fan of something could remake it to be great.
Wow.
But I think that a lot of fans coming together would have a much better idea than the company who doesn't pay attention. Yeah, I don't like the last trilogy. 7, 8, and 9 I don't like either. I think 7's the most inoffensive because it's 4, basically. But beyond that, I can't, you know. 9 has got some moments I like about it. Like, it's got Palpatine. It canonizes some Force powers, right? Force heal, Force drain, Force bonds, which we see in KOTOR. We can see the extent of...
Still talking in your sleep, huh?
We can see the extent of Palpatine's Force lightning taking down an entire fleet. That's cool. But beyond that, 8, we got to see some cool stuff too. Not as much, but, you know. I know not everyone's a huge fan and they like the fatalities and they casually enjoy it. I get that. I know Mortal Kombat isn't groundbreaking storytelling, but the potential is insane, and I would love to ride it. Have you tried ever to reach out to
There's a spare gyro around here somewhere.
have you ever tried to reach out to any of those teams to see if they're looking for talent in that regard? Because there are people who I don't know if NetherRealms is that way now.
Maybe.
But there are teams who are open to allowing people who are passionate about making good storytelling to submit excerpts, basically, of what they would do.
Listen.
And then they would, you know, they permit them to come on as a consultant or whatever the case is. Disney is a little bit less prone to do that. They want credential. They don't want good credential. They don't want credential that people value. They just want credential that they value. Which is, hey, can you write, you know, this Star Wars story about this and incorporate this many people? It's like, NetherRealm Studios seems like one of those now. Yeah, that's the shame of it.
Home, Grease.
I mean, I think a lot of times what you get is everybody always says they could write a better story, and maybe it is as difficult as it is. But the fact of the matter is, when you get to the point of where you see what people are doing, and you get to a point where you look at it and you see what people are doing, and you're like, you know what? I don't know if I could do better, but I know I couldn't do much worse.
Walk away from a rigged game, otherwise you are going to end up losing something.
Mortal Kombat 1 is the most disappointing game I've ever played. I understand that seems overboard to some. Well, yeah, but you're going to find the games that you enjoy the most that are disappointing, or of the franchises you enjoy the most. You're going to find those to be the most disappointing or the most successful, right? I mean, if I like Star Wars, like Outlaws, if Outlaws was just completely the worst thing ever, it would be a bigger blow to me than if I played a Mario game I didn't care for. Because I love Mario, but I like Star Wars a lot more, right? So that's kind of my thing, which I don't agree with that. I think I actually have had quite a lot of fun with Outlaws. I understand that Outlaws was contentious.
Thanks.
When it came out, but I enjoy it.
Kyle, can I tell you one thing?
That's the thing. I don't just say that about anything. Just with Mortal Kombat, it was my Star Wars. It was my Star Wars for you in terms of exactly. And that's the thing, is when you say it's the most disappointing thing, a lot of people will be, oh, you're overreacting, but it doesn't mean to them what it meant to you, right? There's something that they have also that would mean the same. There's something that they have. It could be Star Wars, it could be Star Trek, it could be Witcher, it could be Claire Obscure, it could be, you know, any of the, I mean, Claire Obscure is brand new, but it'd be really difficult to be as established. But Mortal Kombat's been around since the 90s, Star Wars been around since the 70s, Star Trek's been around since the 60s. We've got a lot of people, there's a lot of history there. There's 30, 40, 50, 60 years in some cases. And it's like, yeah, I care about those things because I've had that much investment. I grew up with those things. You grew up with Mortal Kombat. I grew up with Star Wars.
You always had a green thumb, Grease.
I've always said that Mortal Kombat should begin focus on Scorpion and Sub-Zero before they were Scorpion and Sub-Zero, focusing on their rivalry for a while before any tournament. I think that'd be a great idea. Hold on. Can I open the back door yet? Nope. Okay. Haha, the scrapper, the classic.
Scrapper outfit. Why did Grease keep this? I know. Creepy. What's Sears Halleck set doing here?
I don't remember. After we all split up, I was unpacking it. There it was.
Maybe she was hoping you'd learn.
No, thank you.
It's been hinted at in various forms, but never been shown for long enough. Yeah, I mean, there's also a part of, I think, the mystery that, you know, obviously when you make 12 of something, part of the mystery goes away and you kind of start having to get to the point of where you are...
This old console.
I didn't steal it, if that's what you're asking. Kobo ain't exactly a bustling trade route. I stripped an old clunker in the gorge for parts.
There we go. So I don't like seeing the Mortal Kombat. I agree. I mean, it definitely lends itself better to episodic content that just needs to, because there's such a lore to it, right? And you try to, that's one of the sins of movies, but there's also a sin of episodes that a lot of people write them fragmented.
A few secrets up the sleeve.
They write them more fragmented, I think, than you might find a movie. The sin of a movie is that they're going to try and cram everything into 2 hours. The sin of a television show is that they're going to write it in fragmented episodic format, which means that they may not lend...
Ouch.
That it may not lend itself to the story as completely as you'd hope it to. But I remember, like, I just remember watching the first Mortal Kombat movie, and it was one of those things where it kind of felt the same way as the video game, where it's like, okay, Scorpion's different, yes, but he's also just the guy in the yellow suit that has the creepy CGI sentient hook hand thing coming out of his palm.
Nobody's used these tunnels for a long time now.
And it was just the simple, and I love that movie, by the way. It was just the simplicity of it. It wasn't trying to be, I didn't feel like it was trying to be great. I thought it was trying to be campy and video gamey and simplistic, and I thought there was a charm to that. And I feel like a lot of people don't like that anymore. I feel like that charm's kind of lost. Is that an echo? There's something. Hold on. What is that blue light? Is that just a blue light? Is that all it is? Oh, I thought it was something cool. Dang. I love... Let's see.
Is that it?
One of the worst things about Mortal Kombat was it complete lost the tone and feel the darkness and strange feels vanish. I love yeah, I do too. What I love about Mortal Kombat 95 is it deals in both the goofiness and the characters taking it really seriously. Now it's either one or the other. Well, yeah, I mean, like, even the corniness of Shang Tsung himself being the announcer of, like, fatality. Or, you know, he's the announcer. So you go from your soul is mine to him being like, you know, victory, or, you know, whatever. He's basically the announcer, and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. But he's still Shang Tsung, and he's still dangerous, and the fight between him and Liu Kang at the end does not feel any less perilous. And I watched that movie like 6 times when it finally came out. When it first came out to VHS, I like watched that thing over and over. I was like, man, this is just fun. Because I also love Mortal Kombat. I don't have as much of a knowledge of it as you do, for certain. Like, I don't know Mortal Kombat like you do, but I loved it to the point of where I felt like they had done something just kind of fun and campy. And the Johnny Cage scene with Goro, those are $500 sunglasses, and, you know, he just does the splits, and, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, it didn't take itself too seriously, but it felt like the characters weren't out of character. Like, Johnny Cage doing that felt like something Johnny Cage would do. MK is super goofy, it's ridiculous, but there's a backdrop of really interesting lore and realms and races that they've just removed completely. Yeah, that's true. Had vampires since the early 2000s, yet we only know of one without hardly any real backstory. There's so much of that. Yeah, what is her name?
What is this place?
I can't think of her name right now, but she's in the games too, and it's like, I mean... Is she the best of what they have, though, even? At the same time, where did they come from? Why are they there? Are they a part of... What realm are they a part of? What realm are they actually a part of, you know? Why are they that? but
Power's still running down here. Let's see if we can hit the lights. Not bad. Think we could walk on that?
yeah, we can. Natara, there we go. I couldn't think of her name. And she's okay. I mean, she's not my favorite representation, but at the same time, she's fine. But what would happen, again, what would happen if you were,
Came as soon as I could.
like, what would happen if there were, what would the king of that look like? Is it just Shao Kahn again? Is it, are they a part of Outworld, or is it a,
No.
you know, that would be my question. Are they just a part of that? Do they just fall prey to Shao Kahn, or Shao Kahn, or do they have their own society? Are they kind of like the Tarkatans, where they are their own little kind of civilization of brutal, you know, killers?
Of course.
Adenia, the Order realm, the Chaos realm. These are just a few of the NRS that the NRS seem to have forgotten about and replaced it with, well,
Tell me how to
we like the MCU, so multiple timelines. Yeah, which I don't like, and that's why Chronica is such a ridiculous offense, I think.
Master Creed, you are aware the Republic has issued a full-scale evacuation order.
I am. That is why I have a very important task for you, Z.
I'm not a big fan of Kotal Khan either, to be honest with you. I mean, he's okay, but it's like, I don't care particularly for him. I like the idea of Shao Kahn being this big... I like the idea of Shao Kahn being this big, kind of domineering tyrant and so on and so forth, whereas Kotal Khan is like kind of what they did in Book of Boba Fett to Boba Fett. It was like, let's do... He's tough but fair. Well, I don't want tough.
No.
Excuse me. I don't want tough but fair. I don't want tough but fair. I want domineering and, you know, opposite to Raiden.
May the Force be with you.
I also didn't like the flip-flop in... Now, again, one is fine as far as the fighter goes. As far as the story goes, I agree with you. As far as the fighter... Remember, I paid $5 for it. I think with every bit of DLC, I think I paid $20. But just the game, I paid $5. So I don't care. I don't care all that much about $20 on all the stuff as far as the fighting goes. The story is definitely not to par. Like, I wouldn't argue that at all. But as far as a fighter goes, it still fights fine. It's still fun to play in that regard. It's just one of those things where it feels like that they tried too hard to... I don't know. Shao Kahn will always be the huge threat in Mortal Kombat to me. Shang comes first, they deal with him, and then the actual threat starts with Shao Kahn, with Shang by his side in his earlier form again. Yeah, I agree. I think that's... Shang Tsung's dangerous, but then you've got... Yeah, that's why I'm saying I don't complain too terribly much about the game, because I paid $5 for it, and then I paid $15 more for all the DLC. So I'm like, okay, as far as a game, did I get for $20, and I have the physical copy, so did I get my money's worth from that? Yeah, probably. Did I,
You are a Jedi!
Hold on.
The receptor's completely shot.
Not completely, Z. I'm a Jedi, alright.
But you're not even wearing the proper robes.
I'm more of a poncho guy.
I like that they put that line in there.
Use the orbs to activate the bridge, then you can reach the crane controls.
Yeah, I know how it works.
After so many idle years, who really knows?
Ooh, Pyrite.
This droid's got more than a screw loose.
What was that?
Oh, it was a data disc, never
I
mind.
said, hold tight, Z.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. Like, I really liked when they came out with, like, the games that were kind of like Armageddon. I really enjoyed. I know a lot of people loved Shaolin Monks, which I thought was also really good, but Armageddon was one of those that I thought was just, I really liked the way that they went about it.
Well done!
I'll have you free soon, Z.
Take your time. I've only been pinned here for a while. I don't have your name in my databanks. When did you pass the trials?
Never took them. I was knighted in the field.
And what was the reason for
Hold
this
on.
flagrant breach of protocol?
It's a long story.
There we go. I know there are a ton of huge fans who don't care anything about the lore. They're just as much fans as I am, but I enjoy the lore. Well, I mean, that's the thing, too, is it's like... What did I get? Okay, that's fine. I agree that that's the case, but you would think that the company that makes it would attend to both, right? You don't need it doesn't need to be a good fighting game that has a terrible story. That doesn't need to be mutually exclusive, you know?
Trials or not, you've done it! Come here! I want to thank you face to face!
Deception's tone is unrivaled. Yeah, Deception's great. Yeah, Shaolin Monks, Deception, Armageddon, all of those are great. Sub-Zero is pretty terrible for the 64. I didn't care for that at all. But, like, 4, I really liked 4. I remember playing 4 a ton in the arcades. Anytime I would see it come out in the arcades, I'd play the heck out of it, and it was fun, you know? So it was like one of those things where it's just...
A planet hidden within the Kobolds.
A lot of, I don't know, I think it seems like that they're trying to make it mutually exclusive, where it's like, we're going to write this story, and it's going to be this, that, and the other, and Ed Boon's like, well, it's kind of like the George Lucas thing, where it's like, oh, I said it because, I said it, and therefore it needs to be this way, and it's like, the Mortal Kombat universe is a complex universe, but
That should do it for now.
it's not multiversal. It doesn't need to be, or it is multiversal, I guess, by definition. It's not like Star Wars, where you've got multiple fully realized languages and multiple fully realized technologies, and actually, it's literally, you've got to balance a couple of worlds and the lore behind them and the creatures and their motivations for fighting, those types of things.
Redesigned these to train Jedi. I remember this. Don't recall what it does, however.
Attend to both, exactly. That's why I said I don't think I'm who they're catering to anymore, but that's okay. It's still... Yeah, I agree. Mythology... Yeah, I do. I love mythologies, too. And I wish it would have done better, because I would have loved to have seen mythologies behind the other... for the other people. For the other fighters. Sub-Zero is not... It's not good. It's way too hard. But I do like it still, insofar as that they tried something new, right? It's just, in this case, they've been trying something new since... Well, for a minute, it hadn't been working, and they haven't decided to change it. I didn't like...
What a wondrous place.
To me, also, the thing with...
That must be the knowledge.
How do I want to say it? The thing with Raiden becoming the student and Liu Kang... I was going to say Kung Lao. Liu Kang becoming the god. I didn't like that either. That would kind of be, to me, like Luke Skywalker being the always Jedi Grandmaster and Yoda coming up as a fresh-faced Padawan. I don't want to see that. We already know Yoda is the ancient Grandmaster of the Jedi Order, or at least for the past 700 years or so. And Luke Skywalker is the young, fresh-faced kid that comes out to be a Jedi Grandmaster of his own, but he didn't come before Yoda. Like, he's a great and very powerful Jedi Grandmaster. In fact, by Lucas's canon, he's the most powerful Jedi Grandmaster to ever have been. Luke Skywalker. But Yoda still came first. Yoda still was there. Yoda still had all this other stuff, and it didn't change. They crucified Raiden in MK. Yeah, I agree with that. Ed Boon has confirmed that they wanted to make a Fire and Ice action game like Shaolin Monks, but with score. That would be great. That'd be a good start.
You're not alone. I'll help you get back on your feet.
You might not be wearing a proper attire, but...
That's the thing, they didn't know what to do with MK1. They changed it for no reason. Like, hey, it's a reboot, look at it change. But why did it need a reboot? Like, again, the thing about, like, I have my upsets about...
Don't wait on my behalf.
Okay.
Oh, such strange buildings. Oh my, what is that?
Can I go into Doma's real quick? Yeah, I can.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Doma. I'm gonna come over here and see if I can't slice into your... Can I not?
I think I'll browse a little.
That's one of my favorites.
10. Okay.
Don't be a stranger.
I won't, I guess. Will you give me a priorite shard?
Welcome. Take a look. You'll find the finest components and sundries this side of the Outer Rim. Now that's a Domodendra guarantee.
Hear that, buddy? A guarantee.
That's right. Shop's built on trust and quality, and I aim to keep it that way.
I like her. I need to save up. I need. I like him too. I need 10 more. I need in here because I know what's in here. So I'd like to get the windswept hair because it looks more like my own actual hair, but at the same time, don't need it. But I do want the stem pack that comes in, the extra stem pack that comes from inside that thing. So we'll get back in there in a minute. Yeah, I don't. Again, I don't understand the reboot. Like that's again with Star Wars pulling that in there. They kind of tried to do that with Star Wars, but they didn't do that with Star Wars. They did it with episodes 7, 8, and 9, right? Because those were in the books. And they did recanonize that, but then they didn't change for the most part, except for those who didn't pay attention to their writing making some effect. They didn't really change a ton of what was going on in episodes 1 through 6, right? It was just kind of that's what it was.
Oh, all right.
Because they can't write. They're awful. They're stuck with Mortal Kombat 1 and the timeline ridiculousness. They hinted at the great Kung Lao, which fans have been asking for decades, and then nothing. Yeah. They rebooted to get away from the multiverse timelines, and they did the same thing again, and the whole story team needs to remove. Yeah, if they're going to get away from the multiple timelines, then go back to Raiden being it, go back to Liu Kang being it, and raise the stakes of the actual challenge without adding all of... Like, you don't need Kronika.
This droid almost looks like an...
You could add Shao Kahn, you could add... oh, I can't think of his name right now. I can't think of his name, but the older wizardy guy that was in... I can't think of his name right now. God dang it! But anyway, it's not Quan Chi. He's supposed to be a bigger threat than Shao Kahn. Fans, me included, have wanted an MK game with a past focused on the great Kung Lao, leading to his fight with Goro. They know this and have hinted at this at the end of Mortal Kombat 11 and then did nothing. Yeah, that would have been the natural progression with MK12 instead of MK1, MK12, and then go into the great Kung Lao and go into all of that good stuff. That would have been really nice, but they decided they didn't want to do that. And somebody had made a comment, which I think I understand. I don't necessarily know if I agree with it yet, but I think I understand, which was basically if you keep pulling all of the... if you keep pulling all of these extra characters, Shinnok is who I was thinking of, thank you. You keep pulling all of these extra characters into the franchises that come from other franchises like Homelander and like Omni-Man and so on and so forth. What is it that makes your characters so special? What is it that makes your characters so powerful? Right? Because now you can do Shao Kahn versus Peacemaker and it's not a big deal. You can do Shao Kahn versus a T-800. It's not that big of a deal. Or a T-1000, in fact, in Mortal Kombat 1. And it's like, you know, what's going on? So it's like you're kind of diminishing the power and the importance of your own franchise. You're kind of leaning on other franchises, firstly. And then secondly, you're also kind of leaning on... you're kind of diminishing the power of the people within those franchises a little bit because you're or within your franchise because you're power scaling them to people inside of your franchise. The fact they retconned it that she had been around since the beginning of pulling the strings. Yeah, I know. All right, I'm going to run into... Okay, I'm going to run down here and save my game, and then I'm going to call it a good stream. We've done the first part of the Kobo mission. This was the first major part before we go into the ship repair part. So we're going to rest. Do I have 2 points yet? Nope, but I'll do rest anyway. Oh, I can equip a perk. I forgot. I can do that now. And I got my fast travel in. And resilience, so my block meter goes up. That's good. Still only have 2 stances. Nice. Very, very cool. All right. That was fun. I like that. I had fun with this. Let me... I'm going to go ahead and move us over. We will. Do that. Move us over and say thank you. This game is overwhelming, LOL. There's a lot to do in it, but it's not overwhelming. It's pretty. I mean, it's not linear. Let's be this way. It's not linear. You can absolutely go and do a lot of stuff. There's a ton, but it is. You can play it linearly. So, I'm not going to focus on a ton of the side quests and stuff like this. I'm just going to kind of do little pieces that I know, because I know how these kind of block off. Like, I know what happens. I know the next part I need to get to is the ship fix, and I know the next part after that's going to be revival. And so, like, I kind of have an idea of how much is going to be, where an appropriate part to save is going to be, etc. It's definitely bite-sized, but it seems like it isn't whenever you take it off, whenever you haven't played it before, But anyway, yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of people, again, a lot of people are just kind of coming into it as we want. You can play Fallen Order again, but I would just play this. This is honestly better. It plays better. It's smoother. The story is honestly, in my opinion, better. The flexibility is better. And if you've forgotten Fallen Order, it has an automatic recap at the very beginning that you can watch. That'll help just kind of, if you've already played through Fallen Order, you already know, so it'll kind of give you a refresher on that. But I think in every way, this is a superior game to the Fallen Order one. And I think Fallen Order was good, so that's saying something. For me, I think a lot of I think a lot of the game developers have just kind of gotten to the point of where it's about making money, and it's about catering to different social or political or whatever agendas. And it's about writing about your activist stance external of the media into the media, so that now your activist stance is irrevocably a part of a canon, and now forced to be in front of a group of fans who would basically tolerate anything else but that, and even still sometimes will tolerate that. It's just a whole bunch. It's like, man, just focus on making things fun. And it's, again, why I wanted to support Claire Obscure. And I think Larian kind of came up with it when they had their award, and kind of basically said, when they did their speech, they were like, the next game of the year isn't going to be one of these big companies that's, making all this. It's just going to be a company that wants to make fun games and make it fair and make it for the gamer. And then sure enough, lo and behold, we had 3 kind of games that came out this year that kind of meet that criteria. The last one is probably Split Fiction, which is, by the way, a lot of fun, but is EA, right? So it's like, maybe. But then you go to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which is awesome, and then it comes to Claire Obscure, which is, I think, the pinnacle of a good company making a great game for a very reasonable price just because they love it, and super, super great, and I think if they can continue, like if they win the award, which I think they will, if nothing better comes out, I think they will win that award. And when they win that award, if they come out and give a speech like Larian did of, yeah, they were right, we were just a great dedicated studio to making a fun game for a fair price, and we made it for $50, it's $50, not $90, it's $50, and we made our money back. I mean, they broke records like crazy when they came out. I think they broke records in like 3 days of selling. It was several millions, hundreds of millions of copies. I could be wrong, but I think it was like that. And then it's just, they sold out almost every physical copy in the brick and mortar stores almost immediately. There's a ton of, like right now, if you want to buy a collector's edition of that version of the game, go to eBay. It's $1,500. It's crazy. So I hope what they'll do is they'll come up and be like, yeah, it's just about gamers making games for gamers, and then all of a sudden that perpetuates it. We're in a weird time, but there's some great examples out there always. Of course. I think that's, I don't know, it's not as complicated as I think people want to make it. And I know that Nintendo wants to, and I know that the guys that are doing Grand Theft Auto Take-Two want to make it, it's $90 or $100 and we get this much money out of it because you get this much enjoyment, because you've waited for our game to come out for 13 years, and it's like, yeah, but we didn't wait for 13 years because we wanted to. We waited for 13 years because we had to. Yeah, so, and we've only gotten that much out of it because that was the only thing that was Grand Theft Auto at the time. No other game came out trying to be Grand Theft Auto, so I don't know. But anyway, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who popped in today, everybody who pops in and watches this. Of course, if you are interested in the stuff that I do highly recommend taking a look at the channel links below, which include Mr. Fighting Max, who is here today, Mr. Ash, who is here today, with new content coming out later this month, which is going to be awesome. Thumb Bros for speedrunning content, as well as he's doing some run on Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. The hardest version of that game is by far. And then, of course, Omega Ace Gaming and Viddy's gaming videos. As Video is doing farewell stuff, I still think it absolutely worth taking a look at the stuff that he has done and the remarkable backlog he's done on both Viddy's gaming videos and Viddy Plays. So I'd recommend both of those. A huge thank you for Fighting Max coming in and us having that conversation. I know it was a bit of a kind of a small debate or whatever, but I appreciate the fact that you were willing to indulge me in that and discuss it with me. And then, of course, Ash, always for you coming in and your input also, discussion about Mortal Kombat, Star Wars, gaming in general, and the franchise. I hope you all do have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of your week, or start to your week, and we will see you guys soon.